matters, and I hope that we can be of informal to you and give you information that will satisfy your needs for now to report. I would like to
okay, for instance,
some housekeeping items, and that is many of you have asked us for what is our name, and other than just citizens that care and feel like it's time that we make a stand to protect our human rights, we didn't really know what to say. But we felt that we'd give ourselves a name, at least so that we could be reported that way, and we could be more organized in that effort. And that would be Citizens for Constitutional Freedom. Our purpose, as we have shown, is to restore and defend the Constitution, that each person in this country can be protected by it, and that prosperity can continue. We love our country. We love the people in it. We know that we are struggling to be able to know what to do as a nation, and in many ways we are dividing, and we hope that we can restore those things, and that we can unite as a people in protecting individuals, that we will not forget about how important each person is, and how that person has the right to live here on this earth, and has the right to live in liberty, and has the right to own property, and to be able to reap the fruits of their labors. As many of you may know, this effort, if you will, started by understanding that a ranching family here in Harney County has been put under duress by multiple federal agencies. That those agencies have desired for many years to acquire their ranch, and that the Hammond family have refused to sell it because they want to pass on the ranching heritage to their children and to their grandchildren. And because of that refusal to sell their ranch, these federal agencies began an attack on this family. The Hammond family has experienced their private waters being fenced off by federal agencies, even after the state of Oregon ruled that it was their waters. They have been restricted from their private property through the refuge here, going to their private properties through road closures and fences and gates, even after it was determined that the road was owned by the county of Harney. They have multiple times refused the purchase of it, and because of that have been prosecuted for actions that ranchers have done for over 100 years in this county, and in this valley, and for protecting their private property. And these things are what this is about. That because we have allowed our federal government to step outside the bounds of the Constitution, they have come down upon the people and are prosecuting them now directly. They're coming down into the states and taking over the land and the resources, putting the people into duress, putting the people into poverty, and putting entire counties and entire states into undue obedience. I have asked that Shauna Cox read you what we have titled the Notice Redress of Grievance. And to give you a little background, we have spent several weeks, 2 months to be exact, in petitioning the state and the local county representatives to stand for the Hammonds against these unconstitutional actions. And we have done this through petitions. We have done this through contacts by emails. We know that the sheriff has received thousands of emails. We also know that the county representatives and the state representatives have received thousands of emails, and to no avail, that they have been ignored to the point where they have not even responded back at all. I myself, and along with many other organizations and influential people, have contacted these representatives and the county sheriff, asking them to get involved. And all we have been asking from the very beginning is that they put together an evidential hearing board to look at the evidences, look at the accusations that are set forth, and to look at the abuses that the Hammonds have been experiencing. And they have refused in every case. The notice redress of grievance was our final attempt to get them to act. And this was a legal notice that was delivered to the county sheriff and the county representatives and state representatives. And I'm going to ask Shauna Cox if she'll read this.
Can you say who you're with and where you're from, please, and spell your name?
My name is Shauna Cox, S-H-A-W-N-A, last name Cox, C-O-X. And I am just an individual with a patriot American in support.
Step up to the mic.
Yes, sorry. The notice redress of grievance. We the people, United Individuals of these States United, Coalition of Western States, Pacific Patriot Network, Bundy Family and Supporters, Oregon Oath Keepers, the Idaho 3%, the Central Oregon Constitutional Guard, the Oregon Tactical, the Oregon Bearded Bastards, the Liberty Watch Washington, Nevada Committee for Full Statehood, Rural Heritage Preservation Project, Liberty for All, Continuous. There's more names that I don't have listed here. The redress of grievance says notice to agent in notice to is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Sheriff David Ward, Commissioner Dan Nichols, Commissioner Pete Reynolds, Justice of the Peace Donna Thomas, District Attorney Tim Callahan, Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, Governor Kate Brown. Dear sirs, after extensive research on the Hammond case, we, the people of these states united, have reason to believe that the Dwight and Stephen Hammond were not afforded their rights to due process as protected by the United States Constitution. We have principled evidence that Dwight and Stephen Hammond committed no crime in the act of performing the prescribed burn and backfire, that the U.S. government does not have authority to enforce territorial law under Article 4 within the state of Oregon, and that the county of Harney and state of Oregon failed to protect the Hammonds' rights as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, USC 42.1986, 18.242, 18.121, 42.1983, and 42.1985. We hold compelling evidence that the U.S. government abused the federal court system, situating the Hammond family into duress under an effort to force the Hammonds to sell their Steen Mountain property to a federal agency. We have substantial evidence that the U.S. Attorney's Office exploited an act of Congress, imposing cruel and unusual punishment upon residents of Harney County. We hold substantial evidence that inside the borders of Harney County, the U.S. government is acting outside the authority enumerated in the Constitution of the United States. We secure evidence that the U.S. Attorney's Office independently prepared the indictment against Dwight and Stephen Hammond, and that the grand jury did not properly assemble or investigate before the indictment. We have no evidence that the grand jury participated in the indictment altogether. We have sure evidence that the U.S. Congress does not have authority to legislate minimum sentences requiring David and Stephen Hammond to serve 5 years in a federal prison penitentiary. We hold confirming video evidence of federal agents exhibiting a culture of intimidation toward individuals and businesses within the borders of Harney County. that federal agents by fire destroy private property and that the Hammond family are being denied the same protection of the laws that are enjoyed by federal agents. We have supporting evidence that Judge Hogan controlled the narrative and did not allow full disclosure in the courtroom. We have additional evidence that Dwight and Stephen Hammond were sentenced for something different than what they were found guilty of. We hold sounding evidence that Dwight and Stephen Hammond are victims of cruel and unusual punishment, and that the U.S. Justice Department is violating the Eighth Amendment. We hold sure evidence that Dwight and Stephen Hammond are being subject for the same offense twice put in jeopardy, including that the Ninth Circuit District Court of Appeals is in violation of the Fifth Amendment. We have obtained appalling evidence, but that the U.S. Attorney's Office threatened the Hammond family with early detention and further punishment if the Hammond family continued to communicate with a certain individual. This evidence foundationally speaks against the U.S. Attorney's Office in their gross effort to infringe upon the Hammond's rights to free exercise of speech, the First Amendment, U.S. Constitution 18.242. In a commitment to expose the truth and administrate justice, we, the people of these states united, insist that you immediately assemble an independent evidential hearing board call witnesses and investigate each of these allegations publicly. That Harney County Board of Commissions and the Sheriff's Department enforce the conclusions of the evidential hearing board in support of the United States Constitution. We further insist that the Hammond family be protected from reporting to federal prison until all allegations can be determined. We need not remind you of your lawful duty to act on these matters as insisted, or nor of the consequences if you knowingly neglected your duty. USC 18-2382, 18-2071, 18-2076, 42-1983, 42-1985, 42-1986. In light of the information presented, we require your thoughtful response within 5 days of the date of this notice. If we do not receive your response within 5 days, we will have no choice but to understand that you do not wish to do your duty and are content in acting in negligence to your obligation to defend the rights and liberties of the people. Therefore, govern yourselves accordingly, respectfully. We, the people, united individuals of these states united. We had tens of thousands of people put their names to this across the United States and including Hawaii, all 50 states. Thank you.
As you may know, Dwight and Stephen Hammond are being forced to report to prison today for a crime they did not commit, and they've been put twice in jeopardy for. They've already served prison time for this already, and now they're being forced to go back again. They are a good ranching family that ranches not but just a few miles from here. And myself and many, many, many others for weeks on end put all the energy we possibly could to try to keep them from having to go into this prison. And we feel that we have exhausted all prudent measures and have been ignored. And it has been left to us to decide whether we allow these things to go on or whether we make a stand so they will not happen to other people across this country, so they will not come into our homes and take away our rights, and they will not come into our children's home and take away their rights. And I have a request for the media, and that is to do what our elected representatives would not do, to look into the Hammond case, to find out that the Hammonds did not commit the crimes that they are accused of, and to find that the Hammonds have been, their human rights have been violated in many ways, and seek for justice in these matters. With that, I'll turn the time over to Lavoy Finnegum for a few words, and I thank you for your time.
Mr. Bundy, before you do that, can we ask you whether you've got the support of the Hammonds?
he'll answer the questions in a minute. He asked me to just make a few comments. LaVoy Finicum. And I'm a ranch, L-A, capital V-O-Y, F-I-N-I-C-U-M. I'm a rancher in northern Arizona. I'm here to support the Hammonds. There's been a lot of words that have been said here. I see some eyes that start to kind of glaze over a little bit. Maybe I can bring it down to a little more emotional level or a human level. Each one of you here today are important. Individually, each one of you are important. Not collectively, we're talking about you as an individual, as a human being. The Hammond family are human beings. They're individuals. They have loved ones. They have children, grandchildren. You know, this is real. This affects real lives. And so that's why we're here today. And if our federal government would have abided by the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, we would have never have gotten here. And so let me just kind of come to a simple level of why this is so bad at the federal level. Our founding fathers had escaped from tyranny. They believed in freedom. And so when they set up our government, they separated the powers, didn't they? And we all know what they are: executive, legislative, and judicial branches. We know those three branches of power. Well, what has happened to 1/3 of our land mass? Do you know the federal government owns and controls 1/3 of this nation? Let me put that in perspective. You need to put in the country of Germany, and put in France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and better throw in Great Britain too. And then you're getting about the same land mass as what the federal government says that they own and control. And they say they have complete legislative power whatsoever. They have taken it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has upheld it. Yes, they have complete power whatsoever over 1/3 of this nation. Now, let me explain it simply as I can, as I try to stumble over my words here, is that for myself as a rancher, my rancher's in northern Arizona, a bureaucrat behind the desk can write a statute regarding me, my ranch. It has the force and effect of law. This bureaucrat is not accountable to me. We have not elected him there. Now, if I get contrary to that statute, there's a federal ranger with a gun that can enforce that. And if it goes from there, I am brought into a federal court. Neither the law enforcement, the federal ranger, has been elected by us, the people here. They are not under the power of the recall. Neither the bureaucrat that wrote the statute, neither the law enforcement that enforces it. And now I am hauled into a federal court. All three branches of power under one head with no representation. Did we not, as Americans, face this issue some 200 years ago? Don't we remember that phrase? Taxation without representation. So now here we are, control without representation. 1/3 of our land mass. It's an empire within our own country. Unaccountable, unelected. The real power is in the bureaucracies. And so that's kind of the simple part of it. You know, it's about family. It's about my family. It's about the Hammond family. I've spoken to many ranchers in Utah, in Nevada, in Arizona. And they are all feeling the same thing. They're all feeling this oppression that is coming down upon them. Their livelihood is threatened, being taken away. Their ranchers are being regulated out of business. And so this is real. These families are real. They're not trying to cause problems. They're food producers. They help make our country self-reliant, free, independent. Do you realize that you have to go back to about 1955 to get as low as the mother head count as we have right now in the United States? Have any of you ate a steak lately? Do you know the price of that? That goes way up. You know, if we had more demand, if we had more production, we would ship out more, we would feed more, we would be self-reliant as a country. These are good people. They produce, they add to our country. They do not take it away. I want to say one more thing about here, what we're doing. Every one of you that says this is an occupation until their demands are met, you misunderstand. We're not making demands. We're not making demands. We're here to work. These buildings here belong to Harney County. These are Harney County public lands, the state of Oregon. This is theirs. This is their land. This is their state. It's theirs. And so we've come here to work. We've not come here to sit as children and stamp our feet and demand that certain things are met. We're going to go to work. We're going to try to help restore these ranchers. that have lost their ranches back to them. We're going to legally go to the records. We're going to search out these ranchers. Over 100 ranchers have lost their ranches here in this very area, in this very county, have been pushed off. We would like to see them return to their ranches, ranch again, log again, live again as free people. And so to try to help that happen, we're going to go to work. We're not going to just sit down here and twiddle our thumbs. We've got a lot to do, and I appreciate you being here. I'm just a simple hick, and doing the best I can. And I love this country. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love my family. And if we lose freedom, what shall they do? I want my children to experience real freedom, breathe free air. And I thank you.
Mr. Bundy, you have time for any questions?
We'll answer a few questions.
What do you make of it that there hasn't been law enforcement here? Have they been in touch with you?
Indirectly,
They've been indirectly in touch?
yes.
What does that mean?
It means that they have reached out to individuals that we are closely affiliated with and have give messages to us
What are those messages?
that they intend not to come up on us.
Have you heard anything from the Hammond family in regards to your statements here about them today?
Well, I just made them, so no.
Well, I mean, did you contact them in advance of the statement to see where they feel about you?
My relationship to the Hammonds has been about 8 weeks ago. I came to Burns and I met with them many times in their homes. I watched them in tears multiple times as a 74-year-old man covers his head and cries and asks, how can this happen to another individual? I love the Hammonds. I can sympathize with them. I can empathize with them. And they were afraid that after the threats came from them for speaking to me, they did pull back and have continued communications through, should we say, alternative ways. But I have not spoken to them in several days.
How long do you plan to be here to be created? And have you, in a sense, already made the statement?
Excuse me?
How long do you plan to be here? And have you, in a sense, already made a statement?
We definitely have made a statement, but statements are not good enough. We intend on going to work and assisting the people of Harney County in claiming their rights, using their rights as free people.
More details on going to work? What does that mean, going to work?
Well, we have a lot of work to be able to unwind the unconstitutional land transactions that have taken place here. We also have a lot of work to unwind the claims that the federal government has upon this land. And we have teams that are going to be doing that. We have very specific plans that we are going to take place. And we have a defense mechanism that allows us to do this while we are here.
What about people that work in the center downtown? I assume that there was employees at this wildlife refuge. Are they going to be part of your plan? Are you welcoming them in, or have you guys?
We haven't been in contact with any of them.
What do you say to people who say that this group is breaking the law?
I would say go to the Constitution, take the time to study it, and find out what is lawful and what is not.
Is there anything that would make you say, okay, we can end this and go home now?
I wouldn't say words would do it. I would say action would. And that would be for the federal government to remove its unconstitutional presence here in the county.
Do you want the federal government to give up this wildlife refuge, give it back to ranchers? Is that the demand?
I want the federal government to abide by the Constitution of the United States.
Does the Constitution of the United States not allow, I'm sorry, I haven't studied that part. It does not allow for federal land of any kind?
It does allow for federal land of any kind, but it has to be seeded properly. They have to get permission from the state legislatures. They have to purchase that land, and they can only use it for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. And wildlife refuges do not fall within those enumerated authorized lands.
So this would be a first step, and you'd like to see other federal wildlife refuges liberated as well?
Yeah, that's up to the state and the counties, what they would do with those refugees.
Do you have anybody who is from the county who's with you and down there and saying they're also not going to leave?
No, not with us here, they're staying, because their homes are much more comfortable than that.
If the authorities tried to remove you forcibly, how far are you willing to take this in the defense of your cause?
We do not believe that they will do that.
What if they do?
Yes. Excuse me? No, they are not. But we welcome them here, absolutely.
How many of you are in the building? How many of you are
Okay, one more question.
Some of our listeners say that if this had happened in a federal building in downtown Denver, the feds would have gone in guns blazing 24 hours ago. Why are you doing it?
One is we're based on constitutional principles. We know that we're right, and we chose a facility that was not downtown. Thank you.
How many are you, sir? How many of you are here? You want us to be factual? Tell us how many there are.
Okay, so Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Excuse me? Lean into it?
No, who are you?
My name is Jason Patrick.
And who are you with this?
I'm an American. So the exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 square miles as may be by secession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress becomes the seat of government of the United States. And to exercise like authority over
I think, well, as the co-founder of the International Live Stream Congress with Civilian Media, yar there, rise, yar. So I want to talk further about this later on in the show. And oh, hashtag MSMCheck.
My dear friends, I owe you a much needed update. And Hammond Bundy here. wanting to report back to you about things that are happening in Harney County and that are happening in the Hammond case. Have seen a tremendous amount of blessings from the Lord, but also a tremendous amount of corruption and lack of fortitude. And wanted to just report a little bit about that. And for those
So I think it is a big systemic issue of how do we keep
my dear friends, I owe you a much needed update. And Hammond Bundy here, wanting to report back to you about things that are happening in Harney County and that are happening in the Hammond case. Have seen a tremendous amount of blessings from the Lord, but also a tremendous amount of corruption and lack of fortitude. And wanted to just report a little bit about that. And for those who may be getting into this early, or this might be the first time you're hearing about the Hammonds, I ask you to go to bundyranch.blogspot and go to the facts and events and see the tremendous abuses that this family has endured. Just kind of to review some of those without getting too much in depth. The Hammonds are a ranching family in Harney County. They have ranched here since the 60s. In 2001, Stephen started a prescribed burn on their private property, and it went over onto public property. It only burnt their grass, the Hammond's grass, but the Bureau of Land Management took extreme notice. And then in 2006, there was a wildfire in the Harney Valley that was threatening the Hammond's ranch. And so Dwight and Stephen started a backfire, and it actually put out the fire pretty close to their property line, but it went over about an acre into public property. Several federal agents went and filed a complaint with the sheriff's office, and the sheriff did arrest the Hammonds. And then they charged them with several state charges. The district attorney looked at those charges, the county district attorney looked at those charges and dropped them. 5 years after that, U.S. Attorney's Office and prosecutor Frank Papagni took up those charges for multiple reasons. I believe they had multiple motives, and began to prosecute them. Actually, they were different charges. Began to prosecute them on terrorist charges. The Hammonds were prosecuted, they were convicted, and they spent respectively 15 months in prison, federal prison. They got out of federal prison. They thought that the whole thing was behind them. They felt that it was an injustice from the beginning because they only started these fires, as they have done for every year of ranching, that all the other ranchers have done, that is necessary for the production and health of the land. So they felt it was an injustice, but they dealt with the corruption of the system. They got out and felt that everything was done now and they could move on to their lives. And then Frank Papagni and the U.S. Attorney's Office said that wasn't enough. And they went back and appealed the sentence of the first judge and sought for the remainder of 5 years. And the Ninth District Court of Appeals resentenced, as they say, resentenced the Hammonds, where they had to go back for a remainder of the 5 years. There were several other corruptions that have gone on, meaning such as the trial was not properly indicted by a grand jury as protected by the Fifth Amendment. The grand jury didn't even sign the indictment, and we have no names of the grand jury foreperson or the grand jury to even clarify that there was even a grand jury assembled. Also, the juries in the trial jury, they were from Pendleton and were not a jury of their peers, which is very concerning. Part of the court proceedings also, during the court proceedings, the Hammonds were also forced to pay a $400,000 fine within a very short period of time, within 3 years, and they were also forced to sign they were also forced to sign a first right of refusal over to the Bureau of Land Management, BLM. And so it was clearly an effort, this is clearly an effort to take their property, and because it is adjacent to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, also they have private property range up on the Steens Mountains. And these are all very coveted, protected places that these environmentalists and these agencies want to secure. So we, after extensive amount of research and study, we began to see that there are some tremendous abuses. We also began to see that there's violations of the First Amendment, there's 3 violations of the Fifth Amendment, the 8th Amendment, Article 1, Article 4, and that the U.S. Attorney's Office and the U.S. Department of Justice is just trampling all over the Constitution and abusing these individuals. So we felt that it was important that we get the county or the local representatives to do an investigative hearing to disclose all of these questions that the people have. And we asked the sheriff to get involved. He gave us lip service for quite a while, and eventually made a statement that he was not going to get involved, that the Hammonds have received due process, and that was that. So then we escalated it. He did receive over 3,000 emails. We escalated it to the state representatives. They also, the same thing, basically did not act. After that, we formed a group, I guess, of different coalitions across the western United States and part in the east, and we put together a notice of redress of grievance, which is a legal notice to the county and to the state that they need to take and review, have an evidential hearing board or a grand jury to review these abuses, because the list is very long, and we asked them to do this. They completely ignored this redress of grievance, and it actually is a legal document, and they ignored it completely. They have not responded at all. And so we here are now in a position where we either lay down and let this become the precedence. We let this become when we let the federal government come down and prosecute people when they do not have jurisdiction. We let the U.S. Attorney's Office intimidate people for speaking to other people, and we let cruel and unusual punishment happen. The Hammonds were told in the court by the first federal judge that if they had to serve 5 years in federal prison, it would be cruel and unusual punishment. That came from a federal judge in the federal courts. And now through the resentencing process, which is double jeopardy, no doubt, through the sentencing process, now the Hammonds are being exposed to cruel and unusual punishment. They have to go back to prison a second time for the remainder of the 5 years. And so we either have to just say, okay, we're okay with these gross, blatant violations of the Constitution, and we're okay with our children being exposed to them, or we make a stand. And that is what I'm here doing today. I'm asking you And you know who you are. You that came and you that felt to come to the Bundy Ranch. I'm asking you to come to Burns on January 2nd to make a stand. And I feel that this is every bit and maybe in many ways more important than the Bundy Ranch. I feel and know that the abuses that this family has endured is much greater than even the Bundy family. And this is something that cannot be ignored. It has to happen now. We cannot allow these violations to be so blatant and do nothing and expect that we will not be accountable for it. We will be accountable if we do not stand, and I'm asking you now to come to Burns and to defend this family and to defend this county, because it's not just the Hammonds that are being affected by this. They have put this whole county in oppression. In the 80s, this county was a thriving county that their household income was higher than the national average and the highest in the state of Oregon. Now, because of the federal control of the resources, now Harney County is in an economic depression. They are the lowest. They have the lowest income in the county, and it's $22,000 under the national average. $22,000 less than the national average. And it's because they have no access, very little access to their land and resources. And it is time that we make a stand, and I'm asking you to do that. And I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for listening. And I hope that you could feel the urgency of what I am asking you to do. And I leave you with those, and again, thank you. So we have basically taken over the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. And this will become a base place for patriots from all over the country to come and to be housed here and live here. And we're planning on staying here for several years. And while we're here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be freeing these lands up and getting the ranchers back to ranching, getting the miners back to mining, getting the loggers back to logging, and where they can do it under the protection of the people and not be afraid of this tyranny that's been upon them. And what will happen is Harney County will begin to thrive again. And one time they were the wealthiest county in the state. Now they're the poorest county. Yeah. And we will reverse that in just a few years by freeing up their land and resources. And we're doing this for the people. We're doing this so the people can have their lands and their resources back where they belong. And it's really that simple. But we're the point of the spear that's going to bring confidence and strength to the rest of the people. And we're calling people to come out here and stand. And it's really that simple. We have a place for you now. We have a place for you to come. We have a place for you to stay warm. We have food planned and prepared. We need you to bring your arms, and we need you to come to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge.
You guys,
thank you.
This is Blaine Cooper. I agree with what Hammond said. And bring your arms. And you know, if you guys had bullies in high school, anybody? They always kicked the crap out of you, and you got sick of it at one point, didn't you? And you had to put them in his place. I had to knock mine out, and we became best friends. Now, I'm not going to be best friends at the BLM. The point is, until that line is drawn to say, we've had enough of this tyranny, you are going to leave us alone, it will not change. And you guys see, this is the power of America right here. People got together for this. It doesn't have to stop here. This could be a hope that spreads to the whole country, the whole United States. Everybody's looking for this hope because the government has beat us and oppressed us and took everything from us. They will not stop until we tell them no. Period.
Exactly.
So
we drove 1,000 miles to get here. We
here.
feel the same way. That's why we're here. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, the bully always fears. the retaliation.
Yeah.
Because they never think you're going to retaliate.
Yeah. Well, you're a coward.
Future's here and now. Here comes the countdown. Sounding off, this is the call. Rising revolution.
Everybody, in case you guys haven't seen the update by Pete Santilli, he says that he went into the Verizon and the FBI had called the store and were actually inquiring about his purchase of a hotspot to be able to report on the events that are taking place at the refuge. Now, of course, he didn't go into detail about what it is, anything more that the FBI asked the clerk or the Verizon worker. So I took it upon myself to make a call to Verizon to, find out what I could about the FBI calling. It does appear that the FBI is in play right now trying to block alternative media from reporting on what is going on in the location. Now, they may have wanted the new phone number for this hotspot that Pete Santilli had acquired to be able to block alternative media from reporting from the location. So here is my call to the Verizon store, and here is the information that I obtained. Let us check that out.
Hammond Cellular.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing? My name is Danny Sass with WDAV News in San Diego, California. I have a question for you, if I may ask. There's come some information that the Federal Bureau of Investigation may have contacted you about purchases by Pete Santilli regarding...
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. She's helping a customer, but she wants to know what kind of questions you would like to ask.
I would just like to... Okay, listen. Obviously, you know that there is some form of standoff at the wildlife refuge, right?
Well, I'm local. I live here. I'm very, very much so aware of what's going on.
Okay, right. All I wanted to ask was, did indeed, and because this is really a local issue, so really for my...
That is factual. That is a factual statement that, in regards to the FBI calling, that's factual, and in regards to the firefighter and the information that he gave about that, that is also factual.
Okay, can you update me on exactly what the firefighter situation is, what was said?
I do not know because I did not hear that part of the conversation. That's something that my mother had to deal with, and the firefighter pulled Pete aside and had a conversation with him.
Right.
And you think I'm dumb? I'm not going to tell him who it was. There's a firefighter that pulled Pete aside and had a conversation with him, so I do not know what the conversation was, but I do know that that was a conversation that was had. So.
Okay.
In regards to those two pieces of information that Pete has shared, those are accurate.
Okay. Here.
And the FBI did not just call the office. They actually called a personal cell phone that was in this office. So.
No kidding.
Yep.
Oh, so they didn't just call the store. They called one of your guys' personal cell phones.
Correct.
So... Okay, now let me ask you this question here, and you know I'm very unbiased. I'm actually alternative media. I do not subscribe to anything that the mainstream media is putting out here regarding the situation brewing right there. Since you said you are a local and you know that Patriot militia members did make their presence known over the past few weeks and even the past couple days. What is, and I don't want to know your name, and I'm not going to put this in here. This is off the record between me and you.
Okay, but did you post anything about the fact that they called the Verizon store? This is a small enough community
right,
that they know exactly who you're talking to. They know exactly who it is when they walk into this office. My opinion is that the Hammonds are good people.
Right.
And that this prison sentence is going to absolutely kill them. Dwight and Susie and Steve and Arlena, their family, their friends, I have known them my entire life, and they are good people.
Right.
That have been shafted.
Right. Now, the whole thing about them being charged as terrorists under the AEDPA, when they actually started a fire to protect their property, that was completely out of line on the federal government's part. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't think they're terrorists. I definitely don't.
Right, but the whole thing is if they started a fire on their very own property to protect it, then the most that they should have gotten was a fine for the property of the public lands being accidentally destroyed by a fire. Don't you think? Don't you think that that them stating, "Hey, we are going to charge you as terrorist, and we're going to..."
All right, hold on a second. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on. I am still working and trying to do my job. So you're gonna have to hang on just a
Absolutely
second.
understand. Absolutely.
If you think they're terrorists or if you think they're well,
no.
You can talk. This is Jan.
How you doing? How you doing, ma'am? You know what?
I am good.
I am actually a Patriot alternative news journalist. Okay, I'm not with mainstream media. I do not subscribe to anything that they're saying regarding this case because I've thoroughly investigated the background of the Hammonds, and I think that they are getting royally screwed. Royally. I don't know exactly, because you live there, how you feel about it. That's my personal opinion in my research of this case. What I know is that the Hammonds set a fire with no intention of it getting away and destroying this public lands that the federal government...
Okay, can I stop you real quick?
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Okay, We have a business running here, and I don't mind you calling. I have read all of that. I have lived here since the day I was born. I know all of that. The Hammonds are my neighbors. They are my friends, and they are family. So I don't want to go there.
Right.
If I am upset that the FBI has my personal phone number, yes. If I want to know how they got my personal phone number, yes. If they did call me, yes. I cannot, with any legitimacy, comment on my customers, whether I have or whether I have not activated any phones or devices for any of them.
That is purely respected, and I would not ask you if you actually sold any kind of services to anybody. I was just calling for the information of whether the FBI actually called you. If they did, then I want to know why it is that they are trying or attempting to block alternative media from reporting about what is going on with the situation.
And I don't know the answer to that. I do know that a gentleman called me from the FBI, but that is all I know. I was very short with him, and I gave him the same exact answer. I cannot. It is against policy to give out any information as to who my customers are, whether they've activated a line of service or whether they have not activated a line of service.
Okay.
It is against our policy to do that.
And God bless you for giving that answer. I appreciate you doing.
And you're going to have to wait for just a moment.
Sure. I wanted to ask, without asking you a name, did the FBI agent, when he called, did he mention a possible customer of yours by name?
He did.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to know. All right, so
Perfect.
So now we're getting down to the bottom that the FBI is indeed going after alternative media sources in that area.
I do not know the answer to that.
Sure.
What I do know is that I cannot comment on my customers who may or may not have activated service.
Good.
If the law enforcement is looking for that, I do have a number that they can call in which they have a law enforcement resource team for them.
Well, that's why they called your personal phone number, because they wanted it to be non-work related when they asked you. See, if they wanted to ask you in the capacity as a Verizon employee, they would have called Verizon store phone number. Do you see what I mean?
Right. Well, I have to abide by all of Verizon Corporation laws, and that is I cannot comment on my customers. I cannot comment whether I activated or whether I have not activated for a customer.
Good.
So
Well,
that's what I'm going to tell you. The same thing that I told the FBI agent. My concern is how they got my personal phone number. That is, and I will get to the bottom of that one.
Good.
Myself.
Let me ask you one last question, and I know you're really busy.
I am. I have a customer sitting right in front of me.
Handle it. I will wait for you. I promise.
No, you go ahead. Ask me one question, and then we're going to be done.
What do you think of the malicious presence to come there in the defense of the Hammonds? How did you feel about that?
I'm going to say the Hammonds are friends of mine. They are neighbors of mine. They are good, God-fearing people. I go to church with them. I'm not going to comment about the other bullshit because that is exactly what it is.
Okay.
It has affected my children's education because the schools are now shut. I do not believe that the fear of the people should be as it is, and I believe that the people in the community are making it more of a fearful thing for everybody versus what it really is, because it's not about the Hammonds. It's a total agenda that is separate from even our whole community.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
Go check out I got 50,000 followers. My name is Professor Doom 1 on YouTube. Come check out my work, and you will see exactly what I point out that a lot of people are missing. And I know you don't have time to talk about it right now, so go check that out for me, and you will actually see that there's more to this than meets the eye. All right?
All righty. You have a great day.
Hey, thank you. Great talking with you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, this is going to be a two-part series here.
Sure, absolutely.
Regarding, is there anything that we can do to support that motion?
Probably, I'm not sure.
Is any legal people here, friend of the court, is there
Yeah.
something we can do to add our names to that? Because it seems like, and I'm no attorney, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But there is something, I believe, in legal terminology, and I can't remember what it's called, friend of the court or friend of something, where
Next to friend.
somebody.
Next to friend. Yeah.
What's that?
Next friend.
It's something like that, but we can sign on to your affidavit and make, somehow it adds some emphasis to it.
Well, the affidavit is already in the mail.
Okay, so it's a done deal. Okay.
Well, you can, I don't know, you can contact the court in Eugene and express your sentiment to the
Okay,
court.
well, if nothing else, then maybe that's an avenue for
Yeah,
all
I
this
would,
legal.
you know,
I'm great on the phone.
Yeah, send them a letter to the court in Eugene, and the judge's name is Patricia Sullivan.
All right, thank you.
Which court? It's the Federal District Court in Eugene.
So I'd like to talk about what you're talking about for a second here.
I found that he had denied his due process, and there was a threat to his Fourth Amendment right. And we went in and, at his request, went in and stood guard of the Sugar Pine so BLM could not come in and take it. One of the greatest challenges I had is what unfortunately has happened today, and that is the fringe element. They are not part of us, they don't speak for us, and they have a very different and distorted view of how to do things right. We are a nation of law, and we must do things lawfully. If we don't follow the law, we lose the moral high ground. It's absolutely imperative to do that. We've got to do, we may be frustrated, we may be angry, we need to speak out. What's happened today? How many folks here actually live in Harding County? You're from the local community. In the room here, this is what I call strength in numbers. This is important. This is the start of community. You must come together as a community. You do not have to like each other. You don't have to go out or share meals with each other. But if you have the common concern and your common goal is to stand for your community and take back management of your lands, you have to do it the right way. Now, what happened with Sugar Pine, and what was interesting there, is BLM came in and they issued these miners a notice of no trespass. Or excuse me, they issued non-compliance. They wanted an operations plan. In the history of that mine, 146 years, they have never filed an operations plan. The next threat, the next step that BLM took was, we're going to come in, remove all of the mining equipment, we're going to close up the mine, refurbish it, and shut you down. That's a violation of Fifth Amendment. That's a violation of Fourth Amendment. They're allowed their day in court. If BLM had walked in, issued them a citation, this is the law that you broke and violated, we never would have shown up. That's lawful. They were given their due process. I understand we have two situations here in Harney County, and they're very distinctly different. The Hammond situation, their Fifth and Eighth Amendment rights have been violated by the federal court in Eugene. Does anybody actually know what the Constitution says? Everybody know when we talk about Fifth Amendment, we always talk about the double jeopardy. Does anybody know what that is? It says you shall not be put twice into jeopardy of life or limb. I believe that Hammond's going back to prison is doing exactly that. That's twice into jeopardy. And I don't think you can not argue it isn't cruel or unusual, especially since it's been home for 2 years. This room, this community that's coming together is how you start, as was noted earlier, your redress of grievance. This is how you make your elected representatives. Those are elected employees. They work for you. And if you're not sending emails, you're not making phone calls, you're not knocking on the door of your commissioners, you're wrong. You have to get their attention. Now, the Committee of Safety that's formed, what's unique about that is the establishment of a governmental entity. That forces BLM, in their own policy, they must coordinate with you. It becomes no different than a school district, a mining district, or a fire district. They're pseudo-government entities. Everybody in this room right now, if you're a member of Harney County or local communities and you have ranching issues, if you're not part of that committee or you don't get involved in it, you're wrong. It is the only way you're going to change it. They planned this. These agencies like to pick them off one by one by one by one. And you need the community to come together, to work together, and this is a value. You have values within Harney County. Your values must be voiced to your elected employees. And if they aren't representing your value, get rid of them. Vote in somebody that is going to stand and isn't afraid. People, and I heard this and it bothers me, people say, oh, they're going to come after me. I ran the Sugar Pine mine operation for over 6 weeks, day in, day out. No one has knocked on my door or sent a threat to me at all from the federal government. If you stand together, you have nothing to fear, but you must stand together.
Hey guys, I want to address what the concern is. We're going to address this right now. This is Bill. I think you guys both, so you know him, he's in your community. He wanted to say a few words. Because he called me on the way over here about this concern that you guys are talking about.
My name is Bill Bostels. I've been here about 5 years. I got stationed here as a recruiter for the National Guard. And I'd like to say, I think what everyone here did today is amazing. And I love seeing the community come together. I've been here, I think these 3% guys are great. As a matter of fact, I just told a couple of them when I retire from the Guard, I got another couple years left, I intend on joining this organization. I love what they stand for. What I've been complaining about for the last week is the guys that are now out of the refuge doing a standoff. I'm a people person. I was a recruiter. I read people really well. I've been to war twice. I know what extremism is when I see it. These guys aren't the same people that were out there last night. I don't know, was anyone here at the meeting last night? Show of hands. Yeah. Did anyone see these guys have to physically restrain the guys that I called out as extremists? Because that's what they are. I timed them out on it. These guys aren't the same people that are doing that. And unfortunately, I don't know, I'm assuming there's a lot of veterans in here. And unfortunately, there's a term we use in the military a lot, perception is reality. Unfortunately, everything you guys did today in our community to come together was just undone by, go ahead.
Wait, well, hold on. It wasn't.
Is there it's a
Is there
state.
any way to stop what's going on out there? Can someone call them? Can someone bring them down? I mean,
We have people out there right now trying to talk them down. We tried to talk them down right after the rally, and it didn't work. Okay? So there comes a point in time, as he saw last night, and some of you, who else was here last night? Okay, those of you that were here last night, with this concern, did you not start to see a separation?
We have a separation. Huge separation. The two guys that I called out for being the most extreme wanted a physical altercation. This lady here, these two, physically grabbed them to keep me from, so I could finish what I was saying. They wanted to fight. This lady here, and this gentleman here, and this gentleman here all spoke to me for probably 45 minutes in the back of the room. These guys are, I hate to say it, I was calling the other guys the bad guys all along. These guys aren't, you guys aren't. It's great to see a community come together and do what you guys did today. This is the right answer, not what they're doing out there. Because now, all they're going to do is bring in the federal law enforcement that we were all trying to keep out of here.
He's right. Perception is everything, but it's not undone. You go tell our story. You tell our story. You tell our story.
Okay, guys, she's right, and I want to address something. You have to make a hard decision sometimes. You have to separate yourself from the ones that don't believe or align with you. Okay, and people make their own choices. We can't force somebody not to do something. We've advised them. We met with them. We tried to talk them out of it. They're big boys and girls, whoever went. They're going to go do what they do. We tried to intervene. It didn't work. Okay? Sometimes you have to just separate yourself, let them go do what they're going to do, and it's wrong. I will stand here in front of every person in this building and say what's taking place out there is wrong. We bust our ass daily to move this movement forward in a positive way, what you guys have seen us do. Something like that sets us back. We got to start all over again. I don't think it completely tears us down, but it tears you down. And now we're here answering questions. The reason why we call this town hall meeting, I got this. The reason why we call this town hall meeting with the community right here, right now, is to address that. And also to address getting your community to stand up and move forward more with the safety committee and whatnot. Those are the two things. Okay? I know, it sucks. But sometimes you gotta let people go do, they're gonna make mistakes. And we can't stop them, other than physically going out there making a line. Well, the feds are there doing it right now. So, the other issue, the stance they're taking and doing what they're doing, is gonna bring more feds into your county. They're gonna stop this. So it's counterproductive. Okay? Just that, Rick.
Are those people that are out there from our community?
To be honest with you, I don't know who's all out there. As soon as I heard that happen, I separated myself. I just know of the three people that aren't from this community that are out there. One of them spoke to you on top of the snow pile after the rally. And then the two other gentlemen that were here at the meeting last night. They aren't here now. As far as the community members, I don't know. I'm not out there.
Brandon, the things that can be done to mitigate some of this, one of the things that can be done to mitigate the idiot factor, let's just call it what it is for public discourse. To distance yourself publicly as a community, as organizations, as citizens of the county. To distance yourself from the poor behavior that's going on out there. It's accomplishing nothing. The Hammonds didn't ask for a confrontation. Okay? We came to show us solidarity support and then go
so that they can blacklist us. I'm with the Oath Keepers, and I came down here with some Baker County chapter of Oath Keepers. I called the dispatch last night because I had heard rumors of some militant guys down here I heard that there was some high tensions going on in this area, and I called dispatch specifically letting them know that our intentions was to peaceably assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances, to stand up for our constitutional rights, and that we were not trying to pick a fight with local law enforcement. So I think if we reassure local law enforcement that that's not our intention whatsoever, but that we are vehemently opposed to what has happened and the judgment that's been handed down to the Hammonds, then that will help, because we don't know what the press will do with this either. And I also have a radio show, a local radio show that broadcasts in Baker County and Union County, and I will fairly report on what I've seen here today, and I will get the word out. So I won't let, at least in the small community, the small listenership that I have, I won't let it be twisted into something that it wasn't. And I think we can all participate in that. We can get a hold of, we can talk to our local press, we can talk to our local law enforcement and say, hey, you're talking about 3 bad apples, whatever they are, agent provocateurs. It doesn't seem like anybody knows these guys, which is suspect, but we can counter what they've done. And the reality of it is, they only had 3 bad apples, and we're all standing here. So, whatever's going to come down their path for their actions, so be it. But it's not, I'm not going to allow it to black eye us up here or you as the community.
We're all here because of a couple bad apples, and I think the first way that we should fight all of this is voting. And Oregon is a closed primary, so you have to be in one of the 2, now Oregon has 3 major parties. You have to be in one of the 3 major parties. And probably half of you guys here are not registered into one of them because you're frustrated. Republicans don't do anything for us. The Democrats don't do anything for us. And that's why we're in the position we are. We don't vote in the primaries and get rid of these people. Then we're stuck in the general election. It's going to be one of the 2 corrupt people running. So I learned back in 2008 when Ron Paul was running for president how much they hate him in the party. And I joined the party and I was instantly the bad guy because I supported Ron Paul. And I learned that they push you out. They make stories up against you. They do anything they can to get rid of you if you're not one of them. And that's what we need to do, is we need to get involved into the political party and our county parties and stand up and get rid of these people as they're lying. Look, there's no representative here. Greg Walden, he's the federal representative. He's missing. He says this is above his pay grade. He doesn't do this stuff. And exactly. And the only way you can fire him is in the primaries. We need to get in the party. You have to be in the party and vote in the primaries. And then you can take over your county party too by just going 4 nights a year. You go to your county meetings and you find out who the good people are and who the bad people are. And you vote them out. And you can't vote unless you're a precinct committee person. So you have to be in the party. So I've got some voter registration cards here. If anybody can, at the end of the day, I'll be right over here. Thank you. Join the party and vote them out before it gets to this now. Because the police officers, they're only following the rules. The politicians are the ones making the rules.
And if you have the opportunity, sign up to become a precinct committee person.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have Hammond Bundy on the phone. And I told him that I absolutely do not support him. He's on the phone right now. That I absolutely do not support him in the efforts that they're doing. And he wants to explain to you what their intentions are. And I told him to get his ass down here and tell you yourselves. Would anybody like to hear that from him?
Put on speaker.
Put it on speaker.
Put on speaker.
No, he needs to come here.
I thought he went down there.
Yeah, he needs to drive here.
Right now to explain to you.
He's on his way here.
I don't know if any of you know, but they're getting ready to block the road like 2 hours ago. Hey,
look, if they
But here's the thing, guys. We're here. I'm not concerned with what they're doing here because we don't support it. And
The only people we can control is ourselves in this room. So if he wants to come here and explain himself to the community, he just has to talk to me on the phone so I could pass along my response to him, to BJ, to tell him to get his ass here and do it himself.
And we can't keep speculating. We should listen to them. We're just speculating right now. Nobody's guilty.
So real quickly, I want to just touch base on what he's talking about. I also myself, hey guys, can you listen up? I also myself reached out, as a former law enforcement officer myself of 11 years, reached out to your sheriff to meet with me twice before I even got to town. I was ignored. I met with him 4 weeks ago in his office before this whole thing heated up with Joseph Rice and BJ Sofer. We all had a meeting with him. He was open to talking. He wanted us to he asked us to do that. He seemed interested at that time to hear what we had to say until he decided that he was a sellout and was not going to take a stand to support his constituents or his citizens of his county. And I'm sorry, I'm a former law enforcement officer myself as a constitutional officer, and I take that as a slap in the face. Okay? Your sheriff shut down. I called him, and I sent him an email and called. I said, it's imperative you and I meet face to face when I get to town to try to prevent this stuff, to talk about if this happened, have a plan in place to help the sheriff. He ignored me. He shut down. That's your sheriff. And I hope that the next time of the election, you don't let it happen again. Go in the bag right here.
You guys, I want you to just, by the way, if anybody wants to yell at me, just go easy on me because I don't like public speaking. I'm just kidding. No, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a radio talk show host, really. I'm a radio talk show host secondarily to the fact that I'm a United States Marine. I swore an oath, okay? Let me give you a scenario here. This is what I represent, okay? And this is what I think we've all convened for. Now, I have to relate it back to Bundy Ranch. I do have to relate it back to Bundy Ranch. What's your name now? Yeah. Bertha, right? Hi, Bertha. How are you? Somebody like Bertha, who gets involved in taking a stand and going and supporting the Hammond family, which is exactly why I'm here. I'm here to support the Hammond family. I'm here to support this community. Honest to goodness. Even those people that were afraid to speak out. And I came here to make sure that Bertha, if she said, you know what, this is what's being done with the Hammond family is absolutely wrong. And if the federal government or local law enforcement, they were to prevent you from speaking out or they wanted to bring harm to you, for you speaking out, you exercising your First Amendment rights. Okay, you knew it was absolutely right. If we all together in the room, by consensus, said, you know what, what's absolutely right, you need to free the Hammonds, you know, and let's take a stand for that. We would all together unite behind that, correct? Would we not? Right. So, you know, my garb, my Marine Corps garb, okay, is really more of a public relations effort to say, you know what, does anyone believe that I'm a dangerous person because I have panties on? It's really an effort to, I mean, I'm wearing panties.
This is Pete Santilli.
The most powerful weapon that I have is a microphone and a camera, okay? So I can wear panties and that's okay. The militia is not a bad thing, but the militia is intended, just like you see here. Does everyone feel comfortable with what Brandon just said?
Yeah.
If we stand together, the militia is not a bad thing. We protect our constitutional rights. I'm going to come right out and say this. I love Hammond Bundy like a brother, okay? And if you were here right beside me, okay, or out there, wherever it may be, I would absolutely do everything in my powers, surround him, and make sure that no harm comes to him, and that he does not make the wrong decision, okay? We, as a people, are not about making any offensive maneuvers, correct?
Correct.
No, we defend ourselves. We do not fire a shot unless fired upon. We don't make offensive maneuvers to go take over military bases. I'm using that as an example. That's not what I'm about myself, okay? I'm about...
Please don't take that out of context.
No, don't take it out of context. I'm not about doing any offensive maneuvers. I'm about protecting the Hammonds, protecting our U.S. Constitution, protecting our judiciary, make sure that it's not corrupted. You know what I called for? You know why I came here? I wanted to demand it. I wanted to demand full public disclosure and education of the people of Hammond County as to what happened to the Hammonds. And all I said was, let's push the pause button. And let's not risk it. Those folks don't need to go to jail, do they? They really don't. So let's say, if I'm driving down the road and I went 90 and a 35, and I exceeded the speed limit, I need to be held to account.
You go under the speed limit.
Okay, I know, I keep track, but I need to be held to account. So let's say through that full public disclosure, they said, you know what, you can pick up the phone and call the BLM, shame on you, hand slap, here, you paid your fine, we're gonna pay you a whole bunch of money back. We're really, really sorry about this whole thing. What we did was wrong to you, okay? I think that the county deserves that this community right here has suffered long enough. Don't you agree? You've suffered long enough through this. You want to move on with your lives. Unfortunately, the Hammonds have not been able to move on with their lives. Their lives have been taken away, okay? So, because I knew that there were anomalies, there were certain questions, I looked at all the court documents. I even spoke to Frank Papagni, the U.S. attorney, spoke to him personally. And I said, okay, you're right. You're on the side of the Constitution. Everything was right. You got your appellate. And I said, there's so many questions right now about this process. Can you do me a favor? Just push pause and don't take these good people to jail. That's all I asked for. Just push the pause button. I asked the sheriff. I asked the U.S. attorney. And they ignored that. And I wanted to come here with we the people. And I would have walked right. He wouldn't even meet with me. Papagni's not around. I want Papagni here. I want the sheriff here to say, you know what? Just think, if you had responded to our request to push the pause button, we wouldn't have this conflict. That this conflict, because there's that possibility that somebody may spin off on their own, I say their own agenda. I'm going to tell you something. I didn't know about this agenda until, and I almost missed the opportunity to hug Mr. and Mrs. Hammond. I did not know about this sidebar agenda, okay? Now, I also, for their protection, I want to document everything for everyone's protection here in this room. That's why I'm running around with a camera. So if something goes wrong, this is why I'm here, okay? You guys, right now, my heart is broken because I need to document what's going on over there. First and foremost, I'm trying to figure out how we, the people, can intervene and say, you know what, no. I want to speak to law enforcement and say, no, don't harm anybody. We'll go get them. We'll bring them back here, and we'll talk to them. We'll have a good talking with them, won't we? Won't we? We love them. We don't want any harm to come to anybody. Okay? I do not agree with what happened. I don't. And if I had spoken to Hammond Bundy, okay, because I didn't know that, I thought we were all going to go over there. I'm like, okay, what's that all about? I didn't know that this wild, what is the name of the place? I'm sorry, I'm from Ohio. It's the Maynard, Malheur. I didn't even know how to get there, but the wildlife refuge, okay? I didn't even know what that is, how significant it was, and I didn't find out until I was about 30 feet away from the Hammond's property, okay? I did not know about this. If I had known about it, and I think everyone would join me in this spirit, would you not take Hammond Bundy and whoever's over there and stick them in the corner and just guard them and make sure they don't do something like that? Would you guys not want to do that? Can we stand united in that effort that we don't want to bring harm to anyone that's involved in this peaceful protest? Okay. Can I also say this? Number one, first and foremost, who the heck ever heard of Burns, Oregon until today, right? I'm going to say, no offense. Check this out. Here's the beautiful part of it. We said we were going to make some noise. Have we not made some noise? Mainstream media got a hold of this, okay? You know, even if this is the militia, or the guys with the cami, Pete Santilli is the loudmouth with the bullhorn, if it'll bring us attention and awareness to the Hammond family, I love that. I will be able to withstand the scrutiny of wearing camis. That's fine. I can get around that. But I want to congratulate everyone here in the room. We made some noise, and we brought some national attention to the fact that the Hammonds have been wrongly and unjustly, okay? Big round of applause for that. You guys, we've done a great job. Okay? Hold on one second.
What are we going to do?
Hold on a second. We'll continue. Let me just, I need to get this out because I'm pouring my soul out to you folks, all right? Because it's not just me that's going to be in charge of the next phase. We're not going to destroy a great public awareness campaign, are we? We're going to do our absolute darndest I've already spoken to Captain O'Shaughnessy, who I would literally lay my life on the line for. I've spoken to him, and I told him, you guys, I have to be honest with you, his tendency is to go protect people, okay? I said, you're not leaving here until we establish exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do some damage control. I'd love for he and I to go speak with law enforcement and say, you guys, we got these guys. Put them into our custody, and I'll bring them back here to the community, and we'll take care of them. And we'll welcome them with open arms, are we not? I need a general consensus here. Are you guys okay if we intervene, we bring them back here and say, you don't need to do that? Okay? If thankfully, I haven't heard any, nobody's been harmed yet. We don't want anyone harmed. If it brings national attention, and news media and all that good stuff, and we're making some noise and nobody dies, we can use that to our advantage, but I want the positive outcome to be as follows, okay? I want right now Captain O'Shaughnessy, myself, whoever wants to go over there to intervene. And he's coming here. I didn't know that. That's what I want. That's what I want. We want Hammond to come here. We want all of them to come here. We want to wrap our arms around them and say we don't want any harm, right? Isn't that correct? Do we have consensus? Yes. Can I get a show of hands? I need to see that. Okay? We have upset people, but all right, here's the next thing. As we work through this crisis, and you guys, believe it or not, have a lot of corporate experience, crisis management and stuff like that, Coca-Cola, we have arsenic in Coca-Cola, how do we deal with that? I know how to deal with this. Crisis management, all right? With so many personalities in the room, all right? I need you guys to go into crisis management mode in the following capacity. I want you to set aside, if we have discussions about what we disagree on, we'll never get anything accomplished. We must focus on everything that we share in common. That's where the focus needs to be in this room. Is everyone in agreement with that? Yes. If we have sidebar discussions about, well, I don't agree with blah, blah, blah. So let's not talk about what we disagree on right now, because we could be here for a week on stuff like that. Let's talk about what we share in common. Show of hands right now, do we want a positive outcome right now? We want a positive outcome. We can exploit this opportunity. We can use this. You never want to let a good crisis go to waste, right? Have you ever heard that term? That's what those knuckleheads in the Obama administration say. We don't want to let good crisis go to waste, but we want a positive outcome out of it, all right? Hammond's coming here. I love that. He's not leaving this place. He's not going to be going. I mean, I'm serious. I will make absolutely certain that he as a matter of fact, he doesn't know this. Don't anybody call him and tell him this. When Hammond arrives here, here's what I want you to do. We're going to surround him and make sure he does not depart the building. You guys understand that? Does anyone want to join me to put him in a chair over in the corner?
No.
Does anyone want to join me? Anyone want to join me?
That's kidnapping.
It's not kidnapping. You know what? I'm going to intervene in the following capacity. I want to sit him in the corner to talk with him. That's why. Yeah. I want him to sit down and I'm going to talk him out of going. And then after I have the discussion with him, he's free to go at that point. I'm not going to arrest him.
Hey, we just talked about the rule.
Let him speak first, yes, but to go back there, okay, we need to have consensus that it's, I guess, okay for him to go back there. Yes?
How long have you been in town?
How long have I been in town? A few days.
O'Shaughnessy, how long have you been in town?
About 9 days.
I've been in the United States of America for 50 years, in case you're wondering.
You guys have been with, well, not so much Bundy, but Ryan and Ritzheimer and et cetera, right?
Yes.
Your videos bear that out.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love them like brothers. I would have never allowed that to happen if I had known it was going to happen.
So you expect me to believe that you guys didn't know about it?
You know what? Come here, dude. Come here. Come look me in the eyes. Come over here. Come over here. I'm going to tell you something right now. May a bolt of lightning strike me. Okay? That I did not know what was going on. You as my witness. I did not know. No, he was the one that actually informed me. 30 feet away from the Hammond's home. I did not know about it. I gave you my word, my solemn word, may a bolt of lightning strike me. And if I had known, I wouldn't have allowed it to happen.
They would have had to keep it secret, otherwise the feds would have known about it, and they would have had the upper hand, so they had to keep it secret.
I found out just after we got past the Safeway building on the march. That's when I found out.
So I give you my word that I would have never allowed them to do that.
And then
I promise you that, okay? And nor should we allow them to go put themselves in harm's way, including law enforcement and the federal agents. We don't want them in that type of a scenario. Is that correct? Sir?
I hear you speaking of these bad apples. And in the last few days, I've met with some of the people that have come here and said they've helped. I was open-minded, but I don't want to hear three bad apples. I want to hear the names Hammond, Bundy, and I want to hear the other two names. I want to hear those other two names.
Well, we'll get to that. And I promise you,
I want to hear it now. I'm asking you that question. You know who they are.
you need to sit down for a couple minutes and give me a few moments to figure out what the other names are. I don't even know.
That's my question.
I don't know.
You won't answer my question.
I don't know the other names.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't.
the names that I know, Hammond Bundy, John Ritzheimer, Ryan Payne, who else? Yeah, and honestly, I don't know.
Blaine,
Okay.
I think Blaine Cooper.
That's Blaine Cooper.
I appreciate your.
Okay. And I didn't know. That's why I couldn't answer. So I was joking, saying sit down and give me a chance. But all right, now listen. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I have an obligation, okay, as a member of the media, to document this, to report it correctly. Okay. Time I need you folks to understand and hopefully trust that I'm going to report accurately. But sir, did I at least settle your concern, the one that I just looked in the eyes? He left? But does anybody have a question of my integrity throughout this whole thing? Anyone, I need to know right now. This is important. Ammon's going to come, okay? What's that? Pardon me? I'm not certain. We'll find out. But I need everyone to feel comfortable. Does anybody know what my intentions are, were, what I knew? Does anyone have any questions? It's important that everyone in the room have faith in my integrity in reporting this and also helping us through this crisis. Yes, sir.
I'm not going to deal with your integrity. I don't know you. I've seen you on video. Don't talk back to me. Just let me answer the question here. I will object strenuously to doing anything else to exacerbate lawlessness. Now, we're not going to take Hammond Bundy into custody. That's a matter for the law.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have arresting powers over Hammond.
Well, that's your suggestion.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I need to deal with
And
this.
I'm not in favor of what he did. Trust me.
Yeah. By the way, not knowing me, okay, and you guys need to feel comfortable with me individually. If you don't know me, you need to feel comfortable going forward because I'm going to be conveying the truth as to what our concerns are here in the community, what the facts are. Okay, so if anybody has any questions to what I knew, what I didn't know, and what my involvement was. Yeah.
Why are the people that called this meeting standing over here talking to each other and we have a news reporter taking over and manipulating the meeting?
We're not.
We have a news reporter asking locals to take some of the
No, that's not what we're doing. That's exactly what I'm going to step aside. I'm gonna report. Anyways, if anybody has any problems with my reporting, come kick my ass outside. So if you got a problem with it.
Now you guys ain't doing that.
That's all I'm doing. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.
Hey. Hey, BJ, I'm going to address him right now. I promise you, I'm going to address you. But the very first thing I want everybody in this room to do is just take a step back and take a breath. Emotions cannot control these situations. Coming from a woman in a room full of men, okay? Now, someone right here, where are you from? You're from Idaho, okay? They came over here to support this community as well. No, ma'am, I'm sorry. This gentleman here wants to know why we're back here talking. Here's why we're back here talking. Because these groups here are running the show here, right? We're securing our families right now. So that we can, so that we can continue to fight two different aspects now, right? So we've got some rogue people going on out there, and then we still have what's going on in this community. We have to make sure our families are protected, so that way we can help you with a clear mind and no worry on our backside.
You guys need to understand something. Since we've been standing here, our families have become into jeopardy because we're here supporting you. That's okay.
That's okay.
We have plans. We have plans in place for that. That's what we're putting into motion right now. Okay?
So all this going on right here, you see, I'm going to tell you what's going on in just a second, I promise.
This is nothing. We're not trying to keep anything secret from you. Okay? We're not trying to conspire or have someone step in and manipulate anybody. Okay? We're putting some plans in motion because we are going to take a stand and do something about what's going on out there, and that might have some backlash on me. Because I want to make sure my kids are protected, my family's protected in case that backlash comes, because I'm here standing with this community. We all understand that? Yes. People want to ask me how dedicated I am to the cause. Does that make it clear? Yes. I'm not leaving this community.
Until you're safe.
Until things are right. Okay? That's my value, you guys.
Okay, so this gentleman here asked what's going on out there. I did just get a phone call, that's why I walked out. That's why I've been walking in and out, because we're trying to figure out what's going on. Yes, people went out to that Fed building and decided to take a hard stand and take it over. However, the unfortunate part about that, and I would have backed that, had this community backed that. Because I back what you back. I was just telling this couple right over here who held the meeting last night, there is a time, don't get me wrong, I'm here in jeans and a jacket, standing for you, but there is a time for a battle rattle down and a rifle and to make a stand. And I don't mind going out and playing either, but there's a time and a place for it. Now was not the time, and the way that they went about this was absolutely wrong. Will law enforcement take care of them themselves? Yes, they will. If this room decided that they wanted us to go up there and make a stand, we might have to make that decision. You want to know our dedication of this? We have 8 children that we're securing 4 hours from here right now. And if something were to happen, let's just say the federal government decided to pick up a couple of our children and tell us they were going to hurt them unless we stood down. Guess what we're doing? We're staying here with this community. And we came to that conclusion. We came to the conclusion that we may have to make that decision one day. That's not an easy decision as a mother. How many people in this room, patriot-wise, have stood with me on an operation? There's a boatload of them. How many patriots in this room have been following me and my actions in this movement for however long? You can ask any one of these people here, I don't bullshit. And when I see those guys, I'm the worst person they want to see. And you can ask any of these people that know me. Alex Seeley, sitting right here in the middle of the room, felt my wrath at Sugar Pine Mine in Oregon. No, he's not. No, he's not. This community cannot allow this to tear you apart. This is just as bad as the misinformation and disinformation that's going on out there from the sheriff and the judge. You all have to stand together. Have to. There's no choice in it. Any other questions on what's going on right this moment or any of the activity that's been going on back here, because I'm as transparent as they come. As far as I know, he is. They don't have much of a choice with me. Who in here knows me? Do they have a choice if I'm involved?
No. She has freedom of speech. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my idea here is the right idea to provoke them or to talk to them. Because if you do, we're going to make you say, that's going to be confrontational the minute they walk through the door. What they did was confrontational. So they deserve backlash, but we don't need to escalate a problem.
If there's one thing I've learned in doing this, it's how to talk to another patriot. It is my understanding that successful in overtaking the building.
We know what happened. We have video of them.
They are live streaming.
No, they're not live streaming. What's happened? Thank you.
I like informed people. I love informed people. Hey, let's go.
Over the Valley National Wildlife Refuge. And this
This is Hammond Bundy.
we have basically taken over the Valley National Wildlife Refuge. And this will become a base place for patrons from all over the country to come and be housed and live here. And we're planning on staying here for several years. And while we're here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing these lands up, like getting the ranches back to ranches, getting the miners back to mining, getting the loggers back to logging. And so they can do it under the protection of the people and not be afraid of this tyranny that's going to come on. And what will happen is Harney County will begin thriving. And one time they were the wealthiest county in the state, now they're the poorest county. And we will reverse that in just a few years by putting up the land and resources.
And Hammond goes on and on and on about use and land use.
So the people can have it.
There's some breaking news from Hammond's father.
What's that?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm going to read this to you as we're getting it, okay? As I'm getting it, by the way, it is, as I'm going to read this, it's a statement that was made by Clive Bundy to the AP, the Associated Press. And this is important. Okay, now I had to confirm the AP report, okay? Okay, Oregon, this comes from Oregon Public Broadcasting. I'm going to read it right now. Clive Bundy denounced this 19 hours ago, talking to an AP report on Oregon Public Broadcasting. Bundy told OPB, the protest is meant to draw attention to the expanding power of the federal and state government, and that his sons are going for a good purpose. Okay? Even Bundy is unsure whether the protest is a good idea and whether it's proper for his family's supporters to get involved. I don't quite understand how much they're going to accomplish, Bundy said. I think of it this way. What business does the Bundy family have in Harney County, Oregon? This is coming from, and it needs to be confirmed, right? You guys understand that, right? This comes from Oregon. Can anybody confirm with the Oregon? With the Oregon Public Broadcasting. Oregon Public Broadcasting, anyone know of the OPB? Okay. So we're going to get that confirmed, and I wanted to bring that to you as I'm getting it, okay? When we do confirm it, then we'll bring it to you.
What I would personally like to address to all the locals in here is that I've spent weeks talking with you guys. I spent weeks trying to get you to understand what our intent was with this rally. And I hope you guys truly believe that this was not my intent. I did no idea, I had no intention that something this drastic would come from this. Okay, I appreciate that. I have a lot of guilt for this, okay? I am sorry to you that this happened from a rally that I helped put together, okay? What I promised to you guys is exactly what Bill and Brandon promised you. Because I'm not going home until this is finished, okay? Until this is resolved, I'm not going home. I'm going to secure my family, and I'm going to be here with you guys. I will make that promise to you right now.
There's like 1 point. Nobody at that rally is out there.
You're right. Nobody is at that rally. I'm expressing to you because I really have. Out of everybody here, I've spent weeks trying to diffuse that there's going to be crazy stuff happen and all this stuff. And I cannot express to you guys enough how sorry I am that this happened. I truly am. So I am here for you. Anybody that wants to talk to me, I will talk to you, and we will get through this in a positive manner. This will resolve. It's gonna set everything back. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But we can't let that break what we're trying to do. We can't let that allow us to stop moving forward to prevent what happened to the Hammonds from happening to another one of your neighbors. Okay, so let's just continue to push. This is a 1 step back. Let's keep 2 steps forward. So, if anybody would like to talk or have any more questions, please, yes, sir.
gentleman suggests that people here, including me, that would include us in the community, take somebody into custody, hold him here. If I see any local doing something illegal, I'm gonna call bullshit. And that's what I did, just think. I thought I saw a man suggest that we do something illegal, and I called bullshit. I now do it again. Good.
Very good. So, my name's Brandy Mosier. Grew up here, moved over to Portland for about 20 years, came back a while, almost a year ago. I don't really know what the right answer is in this whole situation. I'm not going to pretend that I do. What I do know is that we have to have conversations. We have to have dialogue for anything to go anywhere. So that's what I wanted to facilitate tonight, was just dialogue between everybody, the community, the militia, because I don't know what else to call you guys. I'm trying not to use that term because, you know, I want to be fair. I said, whatever, you know. But I want dialogue. I want the community to stand together and say, this is what we're going to do to affect change. Whatever change that ends up being is going to be good, because change is always good. So, with that said, okay, let's do it. Yes, Billy. Please.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I love you, baby. All right. After the last meeting we went to, and I listened to a lot of stuff that you guys had to say, but I'm just concerned with the attitude that you guys portray to have when you're speaking to our community at events like this. Especially like to point out to you, Mr. Cooper. You come in here, you know, you're dressed in your jacket, your jeans, you seem to be very well spoken, and talk about being peaceful and not having any issues, but everyone hear this? I want to kick you in the fucking teeth. And he goes on and rants like this for several minutes. Watched a lot of your YouTube videos. Most of them seem to be on that level. So my question is, you know, when do we get to see the real version of you? Because this isn't it.
Actually, it isn't.
I'm not buying it.
I use the platform.
Let me finish here. I got a lot to say.
Just like everybody else.
Right, I do. I know.
But I think you're just trying to use this as a way to demonize me right now.
You're not what you portray to be.
Yeah, I am actually. What have I committed a crime? Have I done anything, any harm to anybody in here?
No, it's your attitude. You're portraying. We're here for a peaceful thing.
We are. You're trying to blame.
1 second. We are all really emotional right now about both sides. Very much so. What I don't want is for this to turn into a peace argument.
Can we stick to what
We're not
the
here
issue
to
is?
address a personal
Well,
issue either.
here's my thing is I don't think, well, honestly and truly, I don't think you, or you were here. I don't think you guys give one rat shit about the Hammond. I think you're here.
You know what? You're right. I don't care about the Hammonds. I care about Harney County and America.
No,
Yes, I do.
You're here to pump your own agenda, buddy.
Okay, so just really quickly.
And I do care about that.
What about your video the other day? No, hold on.
I stood in front of armed men who were going to kill me without a firearm at the Bundy Ranch.
Right?
Gentlemen came in here.
We're talking about the Bundy Ranch, boss.
So I went there to defend Clive with my life.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy? We're over at
Ready
town
to
hall
see
meeting.
Polish
We're over there.
because I didn't want his family to be destroyed. And so yes, I am for the Hammond.
Let's go back to the session. We have some good discussion.
Well, I'm just trying to make the community aware of what's really here.
We've all been on there, we've all, and let me
I'm not perfect by any means of the word.
You understand what I'm saying, right, Vanessa? You get what I'm saying?
I've seen it, but I've also heard most of us rant the same way about it.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to make a point here. You pointed out this gentleman, who else? Jason Patrick and BJ Silver or Joe? Which one?
Well, I've only
Okay,
seen
so let
you
me
guys.
ask you
I've never
this.
seen Mr. Self
Did you,
on
did you
anything.
pull up my video on YouTube while you were looking at all these videos?
You pull mine?
No,
Okay.
because I'd never seen you or you
Okay,
until right
let me
now.
ask you this though. Why would we leave our comfortable home and our children
8 of
to
them.
come here, 8 of our children, we have 8, okay? Why would we come here and spend time here, and this is the 3rd time we've been here now, and sit down with the Hammonds and hear their story if we didn't care about them? Hold on, let me finish. Now, I let you point these guys out. Sure. But I can tell you personally, I watched him stand up at Sugar Pine Mine for 2 miners, armed, willing to take a bullet in order to protect their constitutional rights. I watched him stand up armed and do it. I battle rattled down and stood armed too. And if I had to do it for you, even though you don't like these guys, I'd do it for you too. And I would leave this world knowing that my children are in the hands of these men.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I don't necessarily disagree with what you guys are doing. It's the manner in which you're doing it and the attitude in which you come to the community.
But you don't know, you keep saying there's blanket statement, you guys, you don't know me. Go to my Facebook page, I just put something very nice about your county on my Facebook page.
As did I.
I grew up in a small town just like this, of 3,500 people. I was a cop in a community of 3,500 people just like this. I've earned my right to come here, and you may not agree with us, and you want to blanket statement us as all this. Someone's come to take your land away, I would die on your front porch to protect your property.
And so would this guy, and that guy, and that
Here's the
guy,
thing,
and that guy.
if I wanted your help, I'd ask.
But that's not the point.
Has anyone here spoken to the Hammonds?
Yes.
Besides you guys?
I actually just saw them at dinner.
Has anyone else that's not associated with the quote, outsiders, militia, what you want to talk to them, how many of you guys have spoken to?
But let me explain.
Phil says he's got video of him asking them for help. Well, let's see it.
Hold on a second.
Cough it up.
Before.
They're already going to prison.
Hey, wait. It's not about them or stopping them from going to prison. What it's about is we're going to respect their wishes, allow them to do what they've asked to be done. We have met with them. We spent many hours with them, as we have with the sheriff here, as we have with other community members here. We're not here to overrun anyone's town. We're not here to create any problems. But we're here because if this community doesn't stand to do something now, like what's happened to us in Idaho, where we've taken a stand, our organization, understand that Idaho's over 2,000 members from Idaho 3%. And we do things professionally, with integrity, and honor. And you Google us, you're not going to find anything but that. And we do things that are professional, and we carry it out that way.
Well, I do want to see your Facebook page. I want to see if your Facebook and your YouTube statements are much different than his.
I can't.
Because to me, he seems like an extremist to me. I mean, and I have no problem telling you. I fought Muslim extremists overseas, pal. I can use the term if I want to.
Wait, Blaine, did I like you when I first met you? Why?
Because of videos.
Because of your videos, right? Okay, let me tell you right now, any one of my 8 children, if I knew and I needed someone to protect their life, he would be on the list of people I'd hand it to.
You know, all we're asking is for you to get to know us.
That's it.
Don't make blanket statements.
And this is what they want to do. There's a lot of
right here is what they want.
There's a lot of people that make videos because a lot of people like that are angry at what's happening in their country. Yeah, probably looks bad. You know, but don't judge me. I'm not.
I've been here for about 5 years now.
You know,
I've been here.
let my actions speak louder than.
And I get you. Listen, I agree with 90% of what you guys are saying. 95. Okay, our federal government's corrupt. Absolutely.
Hold on. First of all.
Yeah, go ahead, sir, please.
What's your name?
I've been here since '93.
Nice to meet you.
And I know Dwight.
What's that?
I've hauled cattle with Dwight.
Okay.
I know him. And I know he's been pushed into what he's going to do. He doesn't have a choice. The federal government is not giving him a choice. These guys are here to say, look, you have a choice. We all have a choice. How many of you guys in this place have a hole in it? You can't go ride the goddamn thing anymore. Your snowmobiles. You can't get on the BLM. You can't get on the Forest Service. Those people are the gardeners. We own the goddamn land.
Absolutely.
They are the gardeners. Since when do the gardeners set the rule for all of us? We own that land. The gardeners are out there to make sure our trees grow, and our grass grows, and our cattle have good feed, and they're guarding the water hole, that's their job.
Absolutely.
They are not law enforcement.
You're right.
Those people need to go.
Can I say
And
one?
what they're doing to Hammond is they're railroading. He built that backfire protection plan.
Right, and I agree.
And now they're calling him a damn terrorist.
Can I speak for a second about this, and then I hope we can get beyond this and talk about why we're here. Okay, everybody's talking about these gentlemen here that came here, and everybody's scared to death. Okay, I'm a 40, I won't tell you how much, plus woman. I came here unarmed. I came to introduce myself to these people and say what's going on, and ask myself, okay? I walked up to them. I've since been to every meeting except for one or two which my husband has been to. Okay, we started dialogue outside of the meetings then, that's how you get to know people, right? Well, I come to know these men. They came out to my home with my children there. They sat down with us, we had fun, we visited, we showed them where we lived and the cows, and I still don't know these men very well, but I know one thing. These men right here, they fought over there for us. Now I've seen all their posts on YouTube, right? Some of them they're mad. I don't blame them. And the thing is, what these guys say in those inflammatory YouTube things, I've heard people at Harney County Fair, at the beer garden, say the same thing. They just don't, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying.
Okay, there's a right and a wrong way to do things. I don't think this is the right way.
About 2 days ago, I made a post on Facebook. I'm not here to judge whether we're here for Hammonds, whether you guys are right or wrong. I am scared to death of the people you have called here. Okay? I was up until about 5 o'clock this morning, trying to decide how to listen to you. And first of all, I want to go on record and say, these are not necessarily my beliefs or my opinions, but I want to make a statement, all right? And in order to do that, I've got to give you some examples, okay? So like everyone here to imagine a beautiful summer day in Burns, Oregon, okay? Summer day. Load up my kids in my car, load up my picnic basket, drive out into the hills. Everybody here that's from Harney County knows what the hills are, right? Combination BLM, combination Forest Service, right? We all share it, we all use it, right? So I'm headed out, we look out and there's this beautiful meadow, right? I'm gonna get out here. Me and my kids get out of the car. We go out in the middle of this meadow, we have our picnic basket, start to spread out our blanket. Heck, there's cow poop everywhere. All right? Wait a minute. Hammond said, this is my land. This is public land. This is my land. Maybe I don't want cow poop on my land. Maybe I don't want cow ponds built on my land. Maybe I don't want the springs pour up and cattle trails running through my land. Did you ask anybody else what they want for their land?
By a range allotment.
No. You're here to fight the ranch. I have no problem with that. But I think everyone here should know what your agenda is. Alright? Are you here for Harney County and what they want, or are you here for the ranchers? I haven't heard hardly anything disparaging about the Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife, anything about what they're doing. Right? Is that because good grazing land is on Forest Service land? Is that what it is? I watched a video the other night that Mr. Ritzheimer put out. And I was saddened. Very sad. He came out and he said 60-70% of Harnett County is either employed or on some sort of entitlement.
Employed by the federal government.
I want to finish. Entitlement of okay. Those people don't represent Harnett County, is what he said. Does that mean that all those folks that are on, that are older, that depend on the government and their social security checks, they don't count? Does that mean that all those folks that are disabled and are on government assistance, they don't count? Does that mean the veterans of this county that are disabled and are 100% service connected don't count to Harnett County? They don't represent this county? My father is a veteran. He represented this county when he lived here. That hurt. What that tells me is that 30 to 40% of the people that you think represent Harnett County are the cattle ranchers. That's about it. Okay? I don't work for them. I'm not on any public assistance. I am not an entitled person. So I guess my opinion counts, right? What I'm trying to make here is you just need to understand what you're all fighting for. Okay? What these men, what these women, what they're all asking me to fight for. Don't get me wrong. I will back the ranchers. I have no problem with ranchers. I've lived here my entire life. I have no problem with it. But tell me that's what I'm fighting for when you come into my town and ask me to fight. Don't tell me it's for me and the rest of my county.
But it is for you.
No, it's not.
Because, let's go back to your analogy about the picnic.
Okay.
What are you going to do when that's all fenced off, you don't have access to, let's take the cow poop aside. What are you going to do, because down the road, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, you want to go have that picnic with your children, but you can't drive up the road anymore because there's gates across it. Your public lands, there's gates across it. Or you want to go have a picnic in that field, but you can't, because it fenced off the public, the field that you used to have access to. What the Forest Service will tell you is we're only going to gate off 2 miles of road. Okay? That doesn't sound like much, does it? But what they don't tell you is that 2 miles of road they're going to block off is access to 600 miles of road services. So you guys are losing your hunting, your firewood gathering, your picnic locations. So it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about a bigger thing. And the bigger thing is our rights. And that's our, hold on. Okay? It's about a bigger thing. It's not about any single person in this room. It's about all of us and the lost ways of our Constitution of the United States that allows us to go have those picnics. It allows us to exercise our rights to go make firewood so we can stay warm. Can you guys all afford the heating costs in this room that's going up through the roof and because they've cut off all your access to firewood? Can you fill your freezers? No, because they're shutting all the roads down. So to your analogy, that's what it's about.
Let me ask you a question.
Before we take it further, I would like you to address me. I would like to come out and say, you're absolutely right, and I owe you an apology 1,000%. Man can't apologize when he's wrong, then he's not good with his work. I apologize, and I misspoke, and I'm saying it right here in front of this camera, this camera, this camera. I was wrong when I said that. My numbers weren't wrong, but for me to say that they don't represent Harnett County, that was wrong with me. And when I said that, I'm asking you now to understand my frustration. I've been away from my family in Arizona. I came up here, and what we're dealing with in this town, I'm up here trying to win the hearts and minds, and I'm going through this emotional roller coaster the whole time I've been up here with you, with everybody I meet, it's handshakes and we get to know each other. The people of Harney County are great people. The hospitality, I'm from the city, and so I'm not used to this. But then we go through the town and there's militia go home, Bundys go home. There's posts, and we hear all these posts and people bad-mouthing these outsiders. And it kills me inside when I really am trying to do a selfless act here and come up here. But you're absolutely right, and I was wrong, and I misspoke, and I'm clarifying that, and I deeply apologize.
I have a question first.
Okay,
I have a question
Sure,
first.
go ahead, absolutely.
Okay, you say that you want to keep this open for us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and this entails getting the BLM to let go, right? Letting go of this property. What happens when we get range fire? How is Harney County going to battle a fire? We don't have the resources in town.
What we're saying is to keep them from floating.
No.
You do have the resources.
We don't have enough resources.
All that
What
money.
are we going to go out there and stand with our buckets and have a bucket brigade?
So what if I showed you?
What about those fires that almost hit Burns last year?
Okay, so what about the fires that BLM sets? Let's take it there. I mean, a fire.
Fire force burning off anyway.
Yeah.
We need them. We need them. We may not like what they do. We may not like everything they do, but we do need them.
Okay, whether that's your opinion, that's okay. Resources are needed, that's fine, if that's your position. But how do you keep them from having a heavy hand? If you need them here for the resources, great. But how do you keep them from restricting and restricting and restricting and restricting, so before you know it, you're going to need a permit to leave your driveway?
I agree we need to fight them,
So
but not here.
So let me ask you this question. So if not here, where else? Where else?
Where else are we gonna fight them?
DC.
DC.
Let's send your kids to Boston.
None of us have
Whatever you want to do, they fight it.
All that grazing permit money, that money goes to Harney County.
I said this at all of our meetings, okay? Dwight and Stephen Hammond were tried on federal charges for terrorism, right? Okay, they were convicted on federal charges. If they would have been charged and tried in Harney County, you're right. These guys can go home, right? But they weren't. They were charged of federal crimes, of being terrorists.
12 years after the fire.
I know Dwight Hammond.
That sets a precedence in the United States, not just Harney County. So it affects everybody, not just you and me that live here, but everybody within the borders of the United States of America. That's what it affects. That's these guys from Idaho, these guys from Arizona, so that's why they're here. And I hope that we can focus this on what's going on in the Hammonds right now. I understand your frustration, but it affects everybody in the United States. It's not just you and me anymore. The federal government fixed that when they tried in a federal court. If it would have remained in the county, yeah, you're right. You guys go home. But that's not what happened. It affects their kids just as much as it affects our kids. And that's what this is about. To me, this is about the Hammonds. This is about what they're being tried with. They are not terrorists. We have real terrorists running around in this country. And nobody seems to be doing too much about them. But you take these guys who are convicted of setting fire to 140 acres, and they're tried as terrorists. That's wrong. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm taking a stand. That's why these guys are here.
You realize you've had ranchers and farmers in your own county start larger fires and got less time?
Or no time. Or not even charged.
Or no time, or not charged at all. So let me ask you a question. I want to respond to okay. So you mentioned we're here for our agenda, or we're here for this, we're here for that. I want to ask you, what do you think we're getting out of this? Since you have all these accusations, what do you think that we're, all of us sitting here, I have 8 children, 2 businesses that I run. I'm a well-respected business person in my area of Hammond. And I come over here. So I'm asking you, what do you think we get out of this?
I'm not here to judge what you get out of it.
Oh, I understand that, but you made a
I'm
comment about
here
the agenda.
to make a point for Harney County.
I agree, but it's not just Harney County. You have to
They
think
need to
outside the
see-
county.
They need to see both sides, though.
We're here
They're
to uphold
only
the
seeing one side.
The agenda is to uphold the Constitution.
Okay,
But what?
let me
That's incorrect. 1929, they're a Puerto Rican corporation.
Did you look up what their job was?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
We also
The General Land Office was used to survey the settlement of land of the original 13 colonies ceded to the federal government. The federal government. It was given to the federal government. That land. All this
The
land.
original 13
The
colonies.
original 13 colonies.
This ain't the
And what was
original.
not ceded was bought from Spain. And other countries. I don't know what all.
13 colonies were not ceded, they ceded their excess land.
After the War of Independence. Okay?
No, they're independent sovereign states.
The states are sovereign. So
Now, yes, now.
they've always been sovereign.
Before they were even
Can I ask you a
a
question?
state.
Have you read this? Cover to cover.
No.
Okay. This is
I'm
for,
not-
hold
I'm
on,
not
let me
here to
finish.
say
I'm gonna address this for you since you did all your research online. Have you read this? Because this will break down what's sovereign, what's territories, and what the federal government can and can't do. This is the rule, the law of the land, black and white. Okay? I highly would recommend, and I'm not judgmental either, but if you want to talk about laws in the 13 colonies, how this country is founded, you should start here. It's all mapped out.
You're telling me, all I want to know is, you're telling me is the land did not belong to the federal government before it was made in states.
Here, this says the federal government cannot own land outside the 10 square miles of Washington, D.C. So the federal government cannot own land of the Constitution of the United States. Period.
What she's asking, ma'am, I can explain, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, what she's getting at is Article 4, Section 3, how a territory, which this was, before it was a state, right? How a territory becomes a state. So that's what the GLO was founded for, was to start dispersing those excess lands.
Right.
And the only way that the federal government is allowed to own
I
that
have my
land,
own, thank you, it's right over here.
the only way they're allowed to own that land is for a very short period of time and for the purpose of dispersal, is what they call it.
Yeah,
Sean, homesteading act.
Sean, can I remind you, when you and I were kids, we were neighbors. There was a massive fire that came up over the backside of the properties, if you remember right.
Okay.
Threatened to burn us out and kill us. It wasn't the BLM that fought that night. Your dad and my dad fought that fire that night, and they put it out. It was not the
They contract all that out. So it's a new point. You do have the resources. Instead of paying the BLM, pay yourself, pay the county yourself. So anyway, can we move on?
Right, I was just kind of wanting to move things on a little bit here.
I'm going to answer one of the things about what we get out of it. What I got out of this was an overdrawn bank account and loss of income. What I'm hoping to get out of it, and being away from my family. I've been here 3 weeks. I miss Christmas, New Year's, all that. The only thing I'm hoping to get out of this is freedom for Hardy County as residents in Hammond. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm losing money.
There's not a person
Jason
here.
Patrick lost an $80,000 a year job.
My issue was with the outcry that you put out to bring people here.
I want to make it very clear that that outcry is a controlled outcry for people to come and support you. You and your.
I didn't ask for it.
Okay, well that's fine. Stay home then tomorrow. It's okay. It's okay.
All right,
But that's not the point.
We've got a bunch of people here from Harney County who want to hear what they have to say. We've got a bunch of them here to hear what we want to have to say.
Yes, thank you.
You know, this
Thank
whole
you.
meeting was just to facilitate conversation. This is not to hash out what the next steps are, although that'd be great if we could come up with something. But let's be honest, we have, what, 6,000 people in this town? The idea of coming up with a consensus in a room of 68 to 80 people isn't going to happen tonight.
Most we'd like to, right?
What's that?
Most we'd like to, but it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't happen.
Maybe the head of their organization can get up right now and speak and say what actually they're looking for and what their plan is from today.
There's no hand. You have multiple organizations here.
But, I mean, part of her frustration, and I know part of other people's frustration here, because I've heard them talk, is that when you put out a call to arms, that sounds rather militant.
Correct.
And then you get people on your Facebook pages, which I understand, you can't control who posts your Facebook pages, saying, oh yeah, let's arm up and let's armor up and let's go shoot ourselves some people.
Sir, sir, I had the BLM point AR-15s at the side of my head.
And here's the thing. is-
Because we were asking for a sheriff's investigation of why they were killing cattle and destroying infrastructure.
And I understand that.
They pointed weapons of war at me.
I understand.
And I wasn't armed.
I understand that.
Okay,
But
so do
what
you
you
think
have-
I need to arm up, or do you want me to just continue to walk around unarmed?
Here's the point. Okay, I was talking to my mother-in-law last night, not last night, night before last, after our last meeting we had here. And you know what her biggest concern is? Is that there's gonna be a gun battle here. And everybody that's part of, that's her concern, and it's valid.
Yeah, it's a valid concern, sure.
Is that when it's all said and done, those that are from out of town are gonna pack up and they're gonna go home. And that those of us that live here in this town are gonna be left to patch the holes, fix the windows, and bury the dead.
Well, sir, I'm going to do my pledge, but I'll stay here until it's necessary that I.
But we don't,
And can I address that? That's a valid concern.
it is.
And can I address that?
Sure.
Okay. The last thing we want is violence, okay? I'm the president of the Idaho 3%, and I can only speak for my organization. We have over 2,000 members in Idaho, okay? My sole responsibility is to head up that organization. And like I said, when I was addressing you, we do it professionally, we try to do it with honor and integrity, okay? I know all these guys here, and they all have the same feeling. Yes, we've seen videos, we've seen, you know, some of us agree on some of the stuff that goes out, some of us disagree, am I right? We have these conversations all the time. We really try to control the narrative about what's going out there and what's being put out to the public. My background, like I said, is law enforcement, so I understand how important that is, okay? We've met with your sheriff here, we've tried to always have a common ground. We always take a defensive posture. We won't fire anything unless we're fired upon. We're not going to be the aggressors.
Or if you're fired upon.
Or if you're fired upon. That's it. We're not the aggressors. That's what I want everyone to understand here. We're not here to fire off weapons or tote our guns, or we just exercise our Second Amendment right. That's what we do. I'm highly trained in handling firearms. And most of these guys all are. Okay? We're not coming in your town to shoot it up, so you guys have to patch holes. We're also about community, guys. If that were to happen, I'd call in more of my troops to come in and say, let's go help fix some holes, because we're not the ones that put the bullets there. The other side did. Okay? We're not going to do that. So, that's not what we believe in. And if we have members that come in our organization, everyone's vetted that comes in. If we have, this is my vice president right here, this is there, okay? If anyone comes in and they start acting like that, they are voodoo. And we will take them over and hand them over to the authorities themselves.
I've already been working on that today.
Okay.
Actually specifically looking at those posts of any kind of violence. I put a wanted poster on your guys' thing today.
This has been in your county.
If anybody shows up who has said anything like that, or claimed anything like that, I'm putting their picture everywhere, and I want to know about it. You see any of that? You come to somebody with this logo, and you let us know, and we'll put a stop to it. And number two, they're not coming. But anybody that said anything like that is provocateur from the East Coast, way far away from this situation, and ain't gonna be. If they do come here, that's why I came here. I came here to make sure that never. I was at the Bunny Ranch. There was a call to arms that day. There was, and nobody got shot. Okay, it escalated further than anybody thought, but nobody got shot. There was no bullets flying at all, and there was a call to arms. So just because there's a call to arms does not mean that there is any violence going to happen. And if it does, it's going to be on their side.
And I want to make something clear on that point, you guys. The only call for violence at Bundy Ranch, the call for violence is from the BLM on the bullhorn saying we're going to shoot you if you don't stop. Unarmed children, women, and men who are unarmed. They said, we will shoot you. It was on a bullhorn. We
You've
had
been
given a green
authorized to
light.
utilize deadly force if you continue to come towards the gate.
That's why I'm here, folks. I come from a town that was a lot like this. It's just over in Idaho. And we're dealing with the same problems. We got the White Clouds, Boulder Mountain. We're dealing with the same issues. And they're putting up fences. Your story, ma'am. If all those gates weren't up, there'd be enough pastures for everybody. The cows would be over there, and you'd find a nice new one over here. If those gates weren't all up. You know? You'd have to drive by 100 gates to get to the pasture. You can look down any one of the roads.
We have no ulterior motive for being here, other than we're your neighbors, guys. We're your neighbors. Whether you're in Arizona, you're in Idaho, you're in California, we're your neighbors.
outside of Hammond County and even outside of Oregon, you're still in the same district or circuit, the court system here. It affects Idaho. It affects Washington. They're the 9th Circuit. So all that does affect you outside. Your kids, your grandkids going down the road. It affects everybody. And that's what you guys need. We want to help you guys understand. We're fighting this over here. We have.
I'm not against what you guys are fighting for at all.
Okay.
In fact, I'm with you.
I didn't read
It is.
it.
I
But it
just
happens in
don't
Idaho.
want it to escalate to
I need
anything.
to see you guys there. So can I, I want to see what you guys say. The only way it's going to escalate is from this.
Yeah.
We won't escalate.
That's not entirely true, let me tell you why. What could happen, if you guys are talking about doing your, march, or this march, or
A rally.
you know, and, which is a great idea, I think peace rally is a great thing to do. Then go by the sheriff's office, throw your turkey, sorry.
Actually,
This is my wife, by the way, my name is Guy McKay, okay, I'm an Army veteran.
guys can bring it.
How you doing? But what can happen, and it's something that none of us want to see, you know, this January 1st or New Year's Eve, something happens, you guys go by, someone kills a firecracker. It doesn't mean, okay? Someone from the federal government maybe, sniper's position, takes a shot. Who is going to decide it? Who's going to go tell who is who when the bullets start flying? No one's going to know. So you can't stand there and say nothing's going to happen. It won't be us. It won't be. It won't. I know that. That's right. I know that's what you said. And you said it. But and it might not be the other side either. It may be someone outside influence. Maybe a foreign entity that wants to see this county distressed. Okay, so I didn't mean to say that, but since this worked into it. Yeah, you guys are really good, by the way. You speak real well. You jump up occasionally, and I know it's hard for someone on this side to say something because you feel like you get it from several angles. Okay, I'm not a public speaker, but I do feel very strongly about this county. I've lived here for over 20 years. And I do agree with almost everything you guys say. That I've heard so far. YouTube videos a little much. And that's what people are afraid of. Fighting against the federal government is what I do on almost a daily basis.
Can I speak to you, sir? Sure.
I'm a veteran service officer for this county. I'm not here in that entity.
No, right.
I'm here as a citizen of Hammond County.
Right, but you deal with it every day.
Every day. CFR Title 38. If you guys don't know, that's the Code of Federal Regulations. Veterans Law, that's what I study. And also the Constitution. Okay? Where are you guys special forces? Any of you? Special forces? What branch? I'm Army, right? What do you do? Did you ever give her so you're a little bit older than me, maybe, Vietnam era, 62, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
All right. See, that's what I do, right? I go out and I look for veterans. I try to get them service connected, try to get them a VA pension. I do what I can. Hammond County, 6,000 people, 1,000 of us are veterans. Okay? We have a very high veteran population in Hammond County. State of Oregon has over 300,000 veterans in the state. It's a lot of people come from the rural part of the state to fight federal wars. All right. The thing about special forces is you ever go with, I'm not going to ask because some of this is painful, but sometimes we need to go behind enemy lines. We need to try to capture the hearts and minds of the populace, so that when the main military force comes in, they have something to work with. Right? Maybe you guys did that. I don't think so. I didn't hear anything about it. Not that you tell me to come to town or anything, but right now, it's like I'm standing right here, and I feel like I have more people from out of town that are here than people that actually live here.
Sure.
So
there's more here than live here.
Well, actually, we didn't even set up this meeting.
I know. You invited, right?
So, yeah.
And thank you, Brandy, very much. I've watched some of this stuff on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, so anyway,
you brought up a statistic that's very troubling. So
which one?
The fact that there's over 1,000 veterans in this county.
Between 800,000, you don't have to come in the county and say, hey, I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
You don't know, I'm finding new ones all the time.
Absolutely. And the
I
fact
have
that there's-
500 clients, minimum.
The fact that there's that many veterans, that high of a percentage of this population of veterans who swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution are allowing the Hammonds to go to prison in complete violation of the Constitution. The federal government is on multiple levels. What are those veterans doing?
Okay, so we'll get to that. Okay? Like I said, you guys speak very well and jumping up there. Okay, so you got the CTA, right? The call to arms, I'll go over that's on. And I was wondering if you couldn't convince enough locals for this march, and that's why you did that, to get people to actually go in that. Is that true?
So can I address that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for the call to arms, that's
Consider and I set up the rally.
yeah, he set the rally, but I want to address the call to arms. I'll let BJ address the rally. We never put a call to arms out, so I just want to. I'm going to try to explain this as quickly and easy as possible. This group here, maybe some of you can do this, a little, I call whack, whatever you want to call them, right?
Oh, you mean the Freedom Centers of Idaho did the call to arms?
No, we actually were stopping the call to arms, and what we were trying to educate people, and I was on the phone last night with Drew Rose at the Port Keepers, we've had a conversation, trying to educate people, it's not a call to arms, it's a call to support. There's a big difference from a call to arms, call to action, and that goes with the responsibility of what we do, is to try to control the narrative, so people have the facts, and they're working with the facts. Now, what happens is when we start asking for help, it just, you know how the internet is, right? Snowballs and snowballs, and before you know, you got people on the East Coast saying, oh, bring your tanks, your helicopters burned over.
I know, I hate people's words.
But what's happened is just gone so far, right? So what we have full teams in 3% of Idaho, as well as these guys do, that all they do is battle at. And we try to put those fires out for your county, or wherever else we're at. And I hope someone will come do that for us too, if we need it.
Yeah, and I understand. And it's like, if this would have been under slightly different circumstances, I mean, just slightly, I would be arguing against what I'm arguing about. Right? But this is the way it turned out in my life. Sure. That's why I'm here to tell. Okay? Like I say, I have nothing disparaging to say about anyone. It's just the way things worked out. And we're sorry that it did work out this way. But they did. So
Anyway, address the rally real quick?
yeah, sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm BJ Soper. BJ Soper.
Yeah.
I think I've probably talked to quite a few of you guys on Facebook and in the forum. I think I've done a pretty good job trying to explain to everybody just exactly what we're trying to do. If this rally would have came out and I was the only one that showed up, I would have still done it. Because it's about supporting that family. That's all that it's about. What you have in this county is you have two separate issues with a very blurred line. We have the Hammonds that are being allowed to do whatever they choose to do. If they choose to go to prison, I'll drive them there. That's what they have, okay? There's nobody in this room within the rules that says anything different than that, okay? And then you have the issue that is causing the Hammonds to have this issue, which is the issue that you guys have with the BLM and how the land is being managed. And a lot of this is coming together and blurring what's really going on with this rally. This rally is about supporting the Hammonds, okay? We saw them, they were having dinner, walked up to them and said, I'm here to support you. That's all that we're here for. Whatever you need from us. If you need help on the ranch, call me. If you need something done to take care of the family, call me. I will do it. Whatever you need.
Okay, so we actually put a call to action on to get them paid for the winter. You know, we were able to get them help knowing that Susie was going to need help.
So this is your response about as far as the March of Afraid goes.
Correct. The call to arms and not not worry about. I don't care how many people show up.
But it's having to do with not enough local support. It's a matter of.
Yes, we'll know tomorrow, right?
We'll know tomorrow.
That's not the
Who's going
point,
tomorrow?
though. It doesn't matter if 10 of you show up tomorrow or 6,000. The point of this rally was to, number one, rally the community, because I think everybody in this room will completely agree that what the Hammonds are going through is not only unconstitutional but unjust and unnecessary punishment. But number two, to show you that your surrounding states, your surrounding communities are here for their brothers and sisters. We will stand in your defense and we will stand to support this community in whatever you choose to do. This isn't about us wanting you to do something specific. This is about us wanting you to understand that whatever you choose, we are here.
What we hopefully like to see is help, and I know you guys are starting the process with your safety committee, is have the citizens of Harney County and surrounding areas come together and form organizations like us so you can protect yourself. Then we don't need to come. I mean, we still love to come and hang out, right? But that's what we're really here for. And 3% of Idaho, we've been contacted by at least 15 states in this country that we help set up structure with bylaws, code of conduct. We're a non-profit organization. We're and that's what we ultimately like to see is help these communities do what we've done so we're protecting our state so you can do yourself here.
Yeah, and I understand that too. And I don't want to take up all the time. I don't that someone else is going to speak here. And I was looking at my watch when they were speaking. I'm like, man, that's 15 minutes. It's like, I've been talking for 20 minutes already, but I have a problem. And that's my mouth. I just start talking. And it goes, and it goes.
But you said you weren't opposed. You said you weren't opposed.
I'm not a public speaker. I'm very emotional about
Yeah, that's you though.
and this is one of the things. I love this. I love the discourse.
Yeah.
I like conflict. I like people figuring things out.
Healthy
together.
debate.
Yeah,
It's very good. People learn
Okay,
that.
so now
You seem really reasonable though.
it's weird. It's weird.
I beg to differ. Let's not misrepresent the purpose over here.
I'm gonna go research this guy tonight. And I'll bet we don't find any videos like that or him crying.
I'm willing to bet that you'll find some angry videos from him too.
Okay, so like he's busy. Let me take the floor here a little bit. Okay?
Oh, here you go.
That's 20 minutes it's gone by.
She won't like these new segues because people come up and talk to me. They come up and want my opinion on things. What are we going to do? She gets tired of it. She walks away. And I don't know why people do this. I don't know why they come and talk to me. But you'll notice there's not a lot of them here tonight. There's not a lot of people there's not a lot of citizens here tonight. There's some, but there's what? 4,000 or 5,000 in the community? What do you have here? 40 from Midtown? That's not a lot. You know why? Because they're afraid. They're afraid to come here. They're afraid to put their face out where it's going to get recorded. It's going to be thrown all over the internet. People are afraid.
But what we need to do is we need to start here. We'll get your picture this thing. We need to start here.
I'm sorry for the time I took.
No, it's okay. But you made a good point. Because we need to start here, whether it's 30, 40, 50, 60 people. And this is, we got to get it out so people can see that.
So they're going to see me speak my piece and walk out of here alive. Right?
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going on.
And see,
Question from here now.
What you're doing is
I
showing
got
that
a
there is no
statement.
fear.
I'm not scared of anybody or anything. But some people are.
We got a group.
I know. I've had counseling. It doesn't help.
I got a statement. I have a statement. I am actually a person from
Hammond's ranch.
What's that?
How are you gonna stop the BLM?
I don't have an answer to that.
I do.
But it needs to happen. Stop it at next one?
Yeah, I have more. If no one else wants to speak later on, I'll have more.
Okay, I've been following everything that's been going on. Okay. I don't feel that, yes, some people in this town are scared of the outsiders, militia, whoever you guys want to consider. But it's not just that. There's also the people of this town are not just scared of them, they're scared of the police department, they're scared of the law enforcement, because of repercussions that the law enforcement themselves have done to this town. People that are in law enforcement right now and prior law enforcement that just got out. It's not just these guys that are here that the community is scared of.
Lee, I got a question for you. You said were charged with setting those fires up there on July 4th. Do you
Yeah.
have anywhere near the sentencing or
Okay,
that Hammond's have?
I was up on, for the people that don't know me, my name is Lee Carlson. I was up on that fire on 4th of July, and I am currently getting charged for it. I am not getting as harsh of a sentence if I take the plea bargain as the Hammonds did. And I have prior arrest records. For somebody that has prior and not getting as harsh of a charge as somebody that does not have a prior and is getting more charges than me, I think it's BS.
I think, I personally feel that it's the federal government's fault for why they're having to go back to prison. They should have took care of that a long time ago when it happened, or even when they were in prison in the get-go. They should have went back and said, hey guys, I'm sorry, but we screwed up on your sentencing. And retry it. Not wait a year and a half after they get out of prison to go and recharge them.
They want to bankrupt and take their land.
Can
Exactly.
I ask you a question?
Not just that.
Lee, sorry, Lee.
Yes, sir.
Did they charge under the domestic terrorism act?
They're trying to.
They are
I
trying
am currently right now, I will let you guys know. There's some stuff I can let you guys know and some stuff I can't. But I'm sorry. Right now I'm currently facing possession of a destructive device, which is a terrorist charge, manufacturing a destructive device, which is a terrorist charge, arson 2 for federal land and private land, and 2 reckless burnings. I did not start the fire up there. I was just up there, and I still am currently getting charged. So yes, to answer your question, yes. If I take it the federal side, then that's where the terrorist charges will come into play.
So do you feel that you are being unjustly prosecuted?
Yes, I'm part of it.
See, and this is going on time and time again, guys. And I want to touch on something, if you don't mind.
Well, I want to ask a quick question about this gentleman here. How many in this room know this gentleman?
I raised his
Personally?
brother.
Personally?
I know Billy.
Okay,
So
okay, let me ask all of you with your hands raised. Is he a terrorist?
No.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously speaking?
No, but, I mean, that's shot a little light on the situation.
No, I get you. Yeah, so you guys know this guy, you've grown
Very
up
well.
with
I
him.
know him well enough that I'm the one that made him go to the sheriff's office and tell him not to let his brother hang out by himself.
Right, so they're going to charge this guy as a domestic terrorist. Okay? This terrorist?
Oh, no.
He should be calling us for help too. This is another person who just came forward in your county.
Guys,
This affects your county.
I'm far from a terrorist. My father has almost been in the military for 30-some years. My brother is currently serving in the military. My father has been overseas 6 times to support not just this community, but to support the United States as a whole. And that's what I feel us as the people of Harney County, not just Harney County, but the United States, we need to come as a whole and take care of our people as a whole, not just individuals.
It starts right here.
Exactly.
And then it
starts
goes out.
here and goes out, and then it keeps going out and out and out. And then eventually they can call on us and say, hey, we need help. Can you give us advice or can you help us? And then that's when we step up as a community and say, yeah, we can help them. Just like the fires over in John Day. Down to Burns Junction, when the Burns Junction fire happened. I was one of the people that went down there with a load of hay to give it to the ranchers because they had no hay. There was hay that went over to John Day, Grant County, because us people as a whole took care of our other people in other counties. We need to do that for our own county, not just step outside of our county and help out the other counties.
And he brought up a good point, and I'm curious to know if it's everyone else feels in here. Scared of us, scared of the local law enforcement, former fire, scared of the police. Is that generally the consensus here?
No.
My concern is the people, the repercussions, like the people in Harney County that are bad-mouthing you guys and saying all these nasty things. And you know, I support this march for the Hammond, and I want to be here to learn more about what you guys stand for and everything. But I mean, that's my concern. That's why I've been following it for weeks, and I haven't spoken up until a couple of days ago because it's scary.
Well, and you met us all. I mean, are really scary guys. I mean, we're God-fearing family. We have children. And here's the thing. We're trying to open up this dialogue to the community. When's the last time the BLM held a town hall meeting for you guys? Answer your question about the Hammonds. To be transparent. We're trying to be transparent.
See, and this is part of the problem I think that as a community we're having. We're hearing from these different groups, you other gentlemen. Oh, we talked with the Hammonds today, and they told us this. Well, how many people here from Harney County have talked to the Hammonds in the last 2 weeks and know what they're wanting?
I can tell you, we've sat at their dining room table,
And I don't doubt you.
and we just saw them at
But
dinner.
I don't doubt you.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, is I don't
Right.
doubt you. I've had these conversations. But the rest of us want to know what they want. And we're getting it through a second or a third party.
I met him at breakfast. He's in your community.
But yeah,
You go
has
meet
anyone
him.
gone up and knocked on their door and said, what's the story? What do you guys want? Have you guys as a community gone up and knocked on their door as a community and said, what can we do to help?
I'm
Have
gonna
you
tell
done
you,
that?
I'm gonna tell you, no, they haven't. And
Okay, so-
I'm gonna tell you why. Because Fred Otley, one of his best friends, and I sat with him, with Susie and Dwight for 5 hours today. And went over this whole situation.
This guy was with him at dinner when we saw him tonight.
This situation is so, I deal, my name's Dave Duquette, I work for Lucas Oil, Protect the Harvest, whichever side you wanna look at. I get paid to go into situations like this and help deal with it, especially BLM
We
issues.
need a job with him where we get paid.
Right.
Yeah. So, Dwight, what's going on with Dwight and Susie and Dwight and Steve right now is, it's about land, it's about water, it's about he picked a fight with the wrong guys in the government, that nothing adds up, nothing works. I've been through several of these cases and we've fought a lot on these. And we're gonna be trying to figure out a way to take up this fight. One of the things that we will do is behind the scenes, we've got a lot of clout in DC. Everybody knows what Lucas Oil is, right?
Yeah.
So, Lucas Oil, Lucas Oil Stadium's right over there in Indianapolis, so a lot of these politicians are pretty, they pay attention to people with money. And Forrest Lucas is a great man, he's putting a lot of effort into this stuff, and putting a lot of good people out there. And we're gonna help the Hammonds as best we can. I just wish I'd have known what was going on with this a lot earlier. The fact that they were charged 12 years after the fire.
Yeah.
And the reason it's on a domestic terrorist charge is because the statute of limitations had already run out.
Yep.
So that's why they came up with this bullshit deal with the tariff. Now they're gonna charge you as a terrorist.
How many people in this room who live in this community have actually physically, personally seen and read the court documents for this case?
All of them,
All of them, beginning to end.
including the grand jury indictment.
Okay? How many people in this room who live in this community have connected the dots between the BLM agents here in the county and their links back to other situations with the Steam Mountains and all that?
Yeah.
Well, but the thing about it is, okay, so one of the things that I do on the West Coast and for the National 3% organization is, one of my jobs is intel. And that means pick apart every bit of documentation, find every little bit out there and connect all the dots. If any of you in this room that think that this has anything to do with the Hammonds other than they own the land that is wanted, you're sadly mistaken.
So a good way for us to come together as a community and support the Hammonds. Why doesn't it, so hell, Monday I'll go down. That's part of a place where we can donate money to help pay their fine.
Their fine was paid as of yesterday.
Yeah, they took
Outstanding.
they took care of that themselves, and they did it.
They've been doing everything.
So then now they, so the, I just want to catch this straight. So the fine's paid,
Fine,
right?
paid.
So they can't, then
They
the
can't
chance
take
to
their
be able to
property
take
out, and that was,
awesome.
that's the part that a lot of people don't realize. The court put in the payment of the fine, if they didn't pay it by yesterday, they get that property up there.
Is anybody here aware that BLM
I
has
think
the
that's
first
great.
right of refusal on the sale of the Hammond property?
Hammond's paid their.
Comes to BLM now, they can't own property.
They shouldn't have, you're right. And take away their ability to pay that fine by selling their cattle or their.
Yeah, guess what?
So what happens next? They're gonna charge them again and ask for more money.
They can't sell their cattle, you know why? The federal government says they have to get their permission before they sell anything worth $500 or more.
Right, because they're charged as terrorists.
Or buy. So if they have to go buy $500 for groceries, they gotta get permission from the parole officer.
Which is
Can I ask
ridiculous.
you a question?
Yeah.
In your meeting with the Hammonds today, at any point did they say that they want all these people to go home and get out?
No, you know what? We had a long conversation about that, and I dealt with several of these types of situations. But one of the things I want to tell the community here is that these situations, these guys right here, right now, are bringing a lot of noise to this. And that's exactly what I told Mike Steve. This needs a lot of
Yeah, that's right. Get the noise.
Whether you folks are comfortable with it or not. This is not, these guys aren't out here. If something was going to happen, think about Bundy. That's where it would have happened. You know, these guys, but what they're doing right now, and this guy making, whatever, I've never watched his videos.
Some of them are good, some of them
I'm a very loud advocate for agriculture, so I say a lot of shit sometimes that comes out a little bad, and you know, I don't have a filter. But one of the things that we need to do is make a lot of noise, because the only way they're going to pay attention to any of this is if there's a lot of noise.
Exactly.
I'm going to tell you.
Hey Dave, can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
When BJ and I walked over to say hello to Dwight and Susie tonight, did Dwight or did he not say, you know what, I really appreciate what you guys are doing here, even though it doesn't always appear like that on the outside. There is a reason they can't come out and tell you guys, yes, we want them here.
They're
They're doing something right for this community.
There's a lot of there's a lot of behind the scenes action going on that people don't realize that it's gonna that has to go on. So I can't get into detail, I'm not even gonna start to. But one of the things I can tell you is that the Hammonds appreciate all the support. They appreciate it. But they don't want to see any protest. Dwight is not going to skip out on going to, you know, all these people are starting to think that, you know, the militia's going to surround their house and say, tell the government to go to hell.
Nope.
And that's, Dwight's going to jail. We're going to fight this while he's sitting in the cell.
Try to get him back out.
And we're going to try to get him out. But the thing is Dwight now he was worried too. I'll tell all you guys, he was worried. Susie and Dwight asked me specifically why or how to feel, how I felt about it and why. I said, listen guys, you guys haven't been in this kind of mess before, but I can guarantee you the fact that these people are here and making a lot of noise is exactly what we need. We need everybody in this country to see what's going on here. Just like with Bundy. Bundy emasculated the BLM. He emasculated them, and that was the best thing that could have happened. It shot a lot of people back.
If the Hammonds go to prison quietly, and we all go home quietly, who says it's not going to happen to your ranch next?
Exactly.
Your ranch next.
He's already charging that man.
It's happening right here.
So
you're going to sit back and take it, huh?
We're talking about a 70-year-old man. He may die in prison. It's not all. We can get behind the land and the ranch aspect, but maybe people in this community can realize we're talking about a 70-year-old man who might die.
What if it was your father?
You got 5
Your grandfather?
He might not see his kids, his family.
You know what?
Over what, acre and a half?
And what
is that what we're?
You know what Mike told us and what we told you? It only sounds like 5 years to you. He said that's a life sentence for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he said it.
Susie looked at me and she goes, you know, how ironic that it's called Terminal Island that you gotta go to.
It is?
And I'm not an emotional guy. And I didn't get to come over with my crew inside the work the first day when they all sat around Hammond's table, which Brooke was there and a lot of these guys were here. Ryan was here for that. So I didn't get to meet them until tonight in that restaurant when I met Dave. And I couldn't help but think, I got a little emotional about it, that we're having the last dinner together at this restaurant now. She may never see her husband again. And I did get to go out and meet them. And that man did not let go of my hand, did he? No. He did not let go of my hand. He looked me in the eyes, the tears were welling out. And he said, thank you. He may not show it, but thank you. That's all I need. That's why I'm here. Whether it's Dwight, you, I don't care what state it is. And the reason why we're here, if you guys are interested in putting together your own organization, so we don't have to come back unless you call and say, hey, we need some help. You guys need to step as a community and put together something to protect yourselves. Bundy Ranch is why I started this organization in Idaho. I wasn't at Bundy Ranch. Okay? I was a done real estate agent that was at work and caught it on a live stream and said, wow, this is wrong. It doesn't take much sense to know that what was going on over there. Pregnant lady being tased, another lady being bit by a bite dog, and Hammond Bundy being knocked over by a dump truck off his four-wheeler. by the BLM agent is wrong. So on my way home from that day at work, I made a decision, not in Idaho, because it goes much bigger than Nevada.
And you know what he saw? It's a good story, right?
Yep.
You know what he saw, his organization? He saw me on Pete Santilli's show saying, yeah, Georgia 3%, I'm here. And he goes, whoa, look at that guy. So all those dumb videos and all the whoa made this guy turn into Idaho 3%, protect the state.
And you know what Idaho 3% is today? Professional organization. We are the largest organized 3% in the country. We set the example. We have other states that come to us because I made a decision when we are going to do an organization, we done right. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, because I'm that passionate about it, I do it for my children. I wake up in the morning with my children in the face, no one's going to take their ranch. And when I'm older and I'm sitting in my chair, my grandkids are climbing my lap, and the country's gone to shit, and they look at me and say, what did you do? I'm not going to say nothing. Even if the country has done shit. At
We
least
get
I
up
fought
every
for it.
morning and we
Hold
look
on.
our children in the face and we promise
And
we're
this is
here
that,
at Harney County.
this is that change. So you want to go back to the agenda, Vladimir? That's the agenda. For my kids, your kids, Eric's kids. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this, I want you guys to stand up and form an organization. I know you just talked about a safety committee, but let's get your community to stand up and form some sort of organization. I don't care what you call it. But you guys need to have a citizen's defense to stand up against the tyranny that's going on with the BLM and the Forest Service. I understand the community's scared because a high percentage of your community, more than not, actually is employed by the government. That's planned obsolescence, guys. They want to get rid of your town. They want to make your town dependent upon them. I grew up in a town of 3,500 people, remember? So I know fiction required. So are you guys going to do something about it? Yes. This is outside the Hammonds. Right. Good, awesome. And I wasn't here for that meeting, so I may be off on a tangent, but you guys got to stand up. Get with your committee. Form an organization. Is there anyone else here from the committee?
No.
Just you.
We have a website with contact information. It's hccommitteeofsafety.org.
So there, just so everybody knows, that's another piece of disinformation out there, right, is that the Committee of Safety has nothing to do with that website, and all that was done against their will. That is the website.
No, we have control of the website.
You guys have control.
Yesterday.
Okay. So this is Jeff Roberts. He just got here. He came down from where he come from?
Cape Junction.
Okay.
Southwest corner, guys.
Oregon does have a 3%, which is like Idaho. Okay. This is the state that came to us for restructure. Am I right? You missed that part, but they came to us and asked us to help them build their state, which you live in. Oregon 3%, which I encourage you guys to get involved with, is here, and they run it just like Idaho does. And this is the vice president of that organization. So you have resources right here in Idaho, or in Oregon. Where am I at?
You're not that far from Idaho. You're
Yeah. Our neighbors is close, right?
Guys, the 3% organization is just people. It's just people like you and me. I've seen this going on for about 20 years. When I was 15 years old, I lived in Panhandle of North Idaho. The Weavers were my neighbors. I saw the Humvees blow up on them. Saw the helicopters. Saw the transports. All because a guy had a shotgun that was sold that was a quarter-inch too short. Out of that senseless violence, you had a 13-year-old boy dead. His mother was shot in the head. His father wounded, shot. U.S. Marshal William F. Deegan dead. For nothing.
For quarter-inch.
For quarter-inch. I saw that at 15 and I said, you know what? This is what overreach looks like. This is what federal government when it's out of control looks like. And we've seen it time and time again. With Waco, we've seen it try to take place down at Bundy. We've seen it try to take place at Sugar Pine Mine in southern Oregon. In Montana, the difference between what happened at Ruby Ridge and at Waco is that at Ruby Ridge and Waco, people just sat on the couch and watched it on the TV. The difference, why things at Sugar Pine went differently, why things in Montana went differently, and why things here in Harney County can go differently is because people will get up off their couch and they'll stand for their neighbors, they'll stand for their community, they'll drive across states to help each other out. We'll have people here tomorrow coming from Arizona
We have people coming to
Okay, thank you guys. Glad you got us doing the warming trend, right? See you, Wayne. Guys, it's about community. It's about getting together. BJ and I started this rally tomorrow. It's for you guys. We're not coming here to stop anything from happening that the Hammonds don't want. We're here as an open book to say, how can we help you as a community? But what I know from 20 years of watching this is that if you don't make some noise, they'll just shuffle them off and it'll be over with. And we'll never change and it'll keep happening.
And it gets worse.
And it gets worse.
Okay, so
Change
if I can jump in
lightly
here,
on
guys,
your wrist.
we would kind of come off the rails here a little bit. Is there anybody here in the community that has any other questions, any other points, any other statements they want to make before this goes on too long?
I have more.
Does anyone besides
have a
me have
question.
something to say?
You said that White Hammond doesn't want anyone stopping him from going to prison or anything on Monday, right?
Right.
We all totally understand that. What about tomorrow?
Why?
Because I think if he wants it, I think we'd all be there, every single one of us.
He does, actually, I'm gonna tell you, I posed that exact question to him. I said, I heard you were gonna disappear tomorrow and not be around for the march and things like that, just to stay out of the light. And he said, well, we thought about that. We thought about going somewhere else or whatever. And I said, I convinced him that it would be good for him to be there, him and Susie to be there. They're marching up by his house, right? I don't know anything about this deal, other than that's what's going on. But he's going to stay there. And I told him that, if he came out in front of media or whoever and said thank you to these people for coming and supporting him and things like that, and everybody that's supporting him, that would be a big deal. I mean, if the whole community showed up there and went with these guys, intermingled, and went up there and showed support, that's going to be a big deal. I can go to DC with a big dad, and I can slap some big Merkley right in the face. I make Merkley look like an
What he brought up as well, but are you guys also aware one of the reasons why the Hammonds haven't come out and publicly said, we want help, or we want these people here, we want these people to go home? They were threatened by the U.S. District Attorney's Office out of Eugene. You guys aware of that?
Definitely
They were directly told that they had any contact with the Bundys, named the Bundys, Patriot organizations such as Idaho 3%, Oregon 3%, these guys, if they were seen with us in public or speaking to us, they would come and take them by force before January 4th. And not only that, they would give them the exact words, and this is documented, less than desirable prison conditions. You're 70 years old, what are you going to do? You're scared. Are you going to come talk to me, even though you support me? Because he's afraid we're going to flashbang his house and drag him off. So it's a double-edged sword there, because he's also afraid to show support for his own community that he is a part of.
That's the definition of terrorism. That right there is the dictionary definition of terrorism.
So I have an answer to an earlier post question that I had to, I'm sorry. This gentleman here, I'm so sorry, I don't remember your first name.
Bill.
He posed a question to BJ and I when we took him to the back of the room to just kind of discuss some things, you specifically. But he said, well, what if you guys come to the realization that most of Harney County doesn't want you here? Would you guys leave? Here's my personal answer, and I can't speak on anybody other than myself. No, I wouldn't. Because if there's one person in this room, just one, that wants to see the right things happen, that gives me just that little glimpse of hope that I can help them.
I was telling you, Brian, so
I don't want to give your organization because you guys make a lot of sense to me. You come at this at a completely different angle. One that I think a lot of people, if not most people, could get behind. Now, here's my thing, is what I'm going to say. I mean, obviously I seem very oppositional. I'm not. I think what's happening to the Hammonds is crap. I don't think there's anybody here who does it. But here's the thing, is if he was caught talking to you or speaking in public here, how many people here wouldn't at that point go and defend him as a community if they were going to flashbang his house and drag him out in the middle of the night?
So you're asking a lot of
man and a family which has been beaten down for 2 decades.
He's
Yeah.
30 years,
I mean, as far as the persecution is concerned, he's been fighting for that long. So for the last 20 years, it's been Hammond.
He is scared.
He's afraid that he's going to die. This is something that I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about this. You know, that everybody thinks that the Hammonds don't want this support and that type of thing. There's something else that they said around their own round table to us who were there, and that's that because they were asked, does this community support you? The answer to that was yes, which you have shown. The difference, what he illuminated was beyond support, is that he said, I don't think, he said, I know that they won't stand up. That's what he said.
Because they're scared as well.
Because they're afraid as well. And that's, you ask why are we here? That's one of the reasons, that not only to uphold and defend the Constitution and try to keep the Hammonds out of prison. It's ridiculous what's going on. But also to help empower you so that you see there are those of us who are not afraid of the Leviathan.
And we will stand behind you as long as necessary.
Or in front of you.
You know, can I use one analogy? I've used this on myself. It's an important one. And Hammond and I had this discussion because I actually came right out before I even got involved when I first started hearing about the story. I said, what are the Hammonds willing to do? Are they willing to rise up, such as the Bundy Ranch situation? And he described something to me that the analogy is perfect. It's a matter of, and please, if I make you feel uncomfortable in this regard, if you're in New York City, you're in a park, and there's a woman who's been raped, and she's been battered, and she's been beaten, and she's on the ground, and you're walking by, and she is just so decimated. And you walk by and you look down at her and you say, well, I'm not going to help her. She doesn't even want to get up on her own. Why am I going to intervene? When somebody's beaten down for 2 decades, such as this family, to the point to where they can't get back up, they've been down on both knees. That's where the community, that's where we come together and we pick them up, we lift them up, and we carry them.
When you walk up to little helping hand that woman, the first thing she does is this. Right? She's scared. They're scared. And there's no agenda here.
So on that exact point, and to continue what he just said, they said that's one of the reasons they won't stand up is because they don't think that the community will stand with them. They say it's one thing to support people, and this is kind of where probably you might all say that I'm a little bit extreme, okay, I'm radical, is that the only reason that I want to talk about problems is so that we can find solutions, okay? The solution to this is stand up for the Hammonds. Don't support them. Stand up for them. Don't just support them, rather, I'm saying. Stand up for them. Do you think if they knew that this county was behind them and they knew that they were safe here, do you think they know that it's unconstitutional what's being done to them? They know that it's all wrong. Do you think if you stood with them that they would do the right thing?
Yeah.
I think they would.
I got a quick question for all the ranchers in here, the people that live in this county. How many of you feel like and you're, maybe don't put the cameras on them because they don't want to be seen admitting this, but how many of you believe that if you got caught supporting Hammonds and all of this, you would lose grazing rights or they come after you? I mean, every rancher that I have met from the New Mexico border all the way up into Oregon and Idaho and Utah, all believe the same thing. But it's time we all have to start sticking together. And I'm going to give a plug to Protect the Harvest because that's what I'm doing, is bringing that up. Well, that's what our organization is doing. And we're very well funded. We've got a pack a lot of snorts. So we need everybody behind that too. All you ranchers need to know it and see it.
And now you all know that people like us exist. And if you say that you're afraid of them coming and taking it, they won't come. They won't. We will come and stop them.
I want to take this out of the Hammonds for a minute. Okay? Lee, right here, it's going through the same thing the Hammonds are. This guy grew up in your community, right? How many of you guys have gone and knocked on his door to make sure he's okay? He's going through the same thing. Do you feel like your community will stand up for you? honestly, there's some people out there that will, but most people don't. That's not okay, you guys. It all starts right here in your community. This is another example outside the Hammonds. You guys need to make sure these guys are okay. They need to feel supported. This guy's gonna be charged as a terrorist. You're your little brother, right?
Everything
No,
else.
his little brother,
Oh, he raised his little brother.
his little brother lived in my house. I got him through high school. I
Right.
enlisted him into the military.
He's not a terrorist. You guys have got to step up as a community.
No, he's not a terrorist.
My
I'm black and
brother-
common sense. You're gonna be playing with fireworks in the grass.
He
After 2 weeks, 100-degree weather.
Okay, so that's it. So here's the thing.
Jackass, baby.
That's a county sheriff, county court,
Yes.
magistrate
Yes.
issue.
Yes.
That's where it stays. Then he gets his due
We're not
process.
saying he shouldn't pay the time for his crime, but then if he committed a crime, you do the time.
And he just
right?
said, he's saying the same thing right now.
I don't feel that I shouldn't.
But he's not a terrorist.
I
He should
even
be
went-
tried twice.
Okay, I even went to the district attorney himself. I had my attorney go to the district attorney himself. I did not throw the fireworks that lit that thing on fire. I did not throw any of the fireworks that lit that on fire. I was actually the bigger person out of everybody that was up there. I was the oldest one, and I told him before we even went up, do not take any fireworks, do not throw anything because there's a burn ban and it is too dry. I'm not dumb enough to do that, okay? But I even went to the district attorney and told him, I am willing enough to, even though I did not do anything, and I was just up there, to take the charge of reckless burning and help pay off the fine. Because of being up there. There was 7 of us that were in my group alone that was up there. There's 3 out of 7 people getting charged. There was 4 people on 4-wheelers that dipped out after it started. Okay? None of them are getting charged. None of the other 4 out of the 3 are getting charged with anything.
How much was your fine, Lee?
My fine is over $600,000 and some odd thousand. I would never pay that off in my lifetime. Out of 3 people, us 3 people will never pay that off.
And just to prove a point, so like these guys were saying terrorists, you know, because I seem probably really oppositional to you guys.
I understand.
Lee, who was the guy that picked you up from jail?
This man right here. So,
This man took me to jail. You talking
Adam was the only one taking the heat for that. And I went up there the next morning.
Okay.
I don't know, and I knew that this jackass had been involved too. And then the other guy, and I'm like, don't you dare let your brother.
You were in the army, right? You were in the army?
Yeah.
What did you do in the army?
I was 11 Bravo, sir.
You were 11 Bravo?
Infantry, yep.
So, what makes the grass grow green?
Blood.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like what he said was so extreme, does it?
Well, no. Okay, hold on. You can give that to any kid who's in the military, the army, probably not the Navy, the Marines, right? Sure, right?
Whoa, it's getting...
Right? I'm sure you can do the same thing to the Marines, to anyone in the army, right? Same thing, that's a chance that they give every combat person.
Oh, so it's okay.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I'm not online, rallying, praying,
wait,
bacon,
So, let's move away from that.
But the chant that the grass is...
Hold on, though. The difference is
The Navy guy wants to get in there.
he answered your what you set him up for. However, he's not sitting there in his truck recording himself saying goodbye to his wife and kids.
No, instead,
If that was my point,
sir,
thank you.
he's being paid by the federal government to run around in formation with 56 other guys saying the same thing.
Were you in the army? Were you in the military?
Yes.
What'd you do?
I was 11 Bravo.
You were 11 Bravo, what unit were you in?
I was in 18th Airborne Corps Long Range Surveillance.
Okay, so you were alert. So what years were you in?
2000 to 2005.
Okay, so you deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Right? So you've been actually in an armed conflict. You have actually traded shots with enemies of your country.
Correct.
Okay? You and I have that in common. Right? What I'm saying is this is...
I don't actually believe that those were enemies of my country.
Well,
Yeah, okay. That was above my pay grade. I just wanted to get my ass home, man. I didn't want to get my ass shot off in Iraq. I took care of myself and my buddies. Right. You know, people about that said go. Thank you. But what I'm saying is to me, maybe because I've been in an armed conflict and I've seen my friends die, and unfortunately, I've taken the lives of other people. And I'll tell you, as you probably know, that really is the most terrible freaking thing to ever have to do in life. I don't know what type of Marine you were, but I bet you
that makes me.
No. I'm saying thank you for your service. I'm just saying, if you've ever been in combat, I bet you thought it sucked, right?
No, I don't know about suck.
It was. Did you enjoy killing other people? Are you a psycho? That's what I'm getting at. Of course not. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't think anyone here wants to see anything come to that. Right?
So let's get back on the track of this, because this meeting was set up by people in the community who want, you guys want a leeway. Of the people who live here in this county, how many of you think that we're here to start an armed conflict? Seriously, on a serious note.
I have to say that I think there's a possibility that that's not the intention, but it's a very good possibility.
I think
that's what
there are no
But
guarantees.
hold on. There's no guarantees in life, and the only constant in life is change. Okay? And listen, I understand your concerns. Hold on. Listen, I understand your concerns. What maybe I would like for you to go home and do a little research on, because I see your point of view. I come from a military family. I see what you're saying. I do. I truly understand you. Now, hold on. Wait. Hold on. Here's my suggestion to you. Do a little research on the training that we do and the things that we do in order to do the job that we do.
Which website?
Well, I'll give you my card and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Here's what they want. Who wants to go home right now? Who's tired? 'Cause I know why. You guys want a solution here. Here's the solution. There's a peaceful rally tomorrow. If you truly believe that what is happening to the Hammonds is unconstitutional and is not right, then you take what you've learned here today about the people sitting in this room, and you tell your neighbors. And you tell them, those people are there to give you the courage to stand up tomorrow and walk with the Hammonds. That's all. So I think
Tomorrow's the big oyster.
I'd like to say real quick, my name is Mike Burger, I'm a Voice of Iowa journalist. And
don't hold that against them.
we report on all kinds of events all through Iowa. And I watch these briefs to make sure that everyone is safe, work with law enforcement. Brandon Curtis is, 11 years as a police officer. Knows exactly what he's doing. And the only threat that you may have in the community is the BLM, the law enforcement, the bad agents, not from your area, but from D.C. And they're called floating field agents. And you have them out here right now, because I used to be one. I can tell you right now that you're more safe with these people here than you ever will be with the local indigenous law enforcement that they allow out something tries to code it. That is my people.
We can't make change, and we can't do something to move forward if we're sitting on our hands in the shadows because we're afraid of what might happen. This country didn't get here because of what might happen. The British might have thought a shot pop up where we killed us all. We wouldn't be here today. And I agree with you. But that's an uncontrollable situation. We've made our stance of how we handle things.
I understand that, and I accept what happens. It's going to happen.
And what you need to know is tomorrow we have complete security in place so that your town can have a peaceful rally. Go ahead. Sorry, guys.
I know.
I'm good at it.
I think where the disconnect for me is yeah, I see your videos and I see, the call to action and the call to arms, and I see the responses that you guys get that are out of your control. And I understand those, and I understand they're not in your control. What I don't see is, like you're saying tonight, that response back that says this won't be tolerated.
There's not time for that.
Here's
We need to
the
focus on solutions, not on trying to put fire.
No, actually, we tried to do that, but
And I haven't seen yours.
But Hardin County has not allowed us into their pages to help. We have been denied.
But even looking on your guys' page, these guys specifically, because I haven't seen yours.
Yeah, you can't actually.
But I
Unless
don't.
we're friends, because just for that reason, the
Well,
concern is,
rightly so.
There's something you're not aware of, and I think that if you do about about it, it might make more sense. We know that just by the virtue of the position that we've taken as defenders of liberty and the Constitution, that the federal government employs normal people to sit on the computer and put out the perception that they want to be put out there. So if we spend all our time dealing with the disinformation and all those things that come out, our goal is to embolden people so that we'll all stand together. We know that those folks are not us. And you don't know that, and I understand.
Right, and we don't know that, and I think that's where that disconnect is happening between us wanting to support you and actually doing it.
Right.
To really get in there and do it as a community.
And you can help us by shutting it down yourself.
But when it comes to, we don't see any of it. We don't even see 1 or 2 attempts. We don't see any statement.
How many attempts did you take today in the Harney County?
5 or 6. And I haven't been on today.
Yeah.
And I just started. That's my fault.
And I just started. I've seen BJ's name a couple of times. What's he at? So, but I've seen his name pop up.
And he makes a great point too, though. When I'm wasting my time arguing with somebody from Connecticut that ain't gonna come over here, I'm doing what they want me to do instead of working on the security for the rally.
Right. But if they're employing, don't we need to counter that and employ the same
Yes,
tactics?
and we try to do that because so much that goes on, a lot of stuff goes on within our government. The government actually employs people to go in and disrupt. We all have jobs, and we try to do that. That would take mobile people full time.
It would.
Yeah.
And I think sorry.
No, go ahead.
Where I'm going is, if we saw even a few attempts, that we could tell, they're after hours, whatever. If we saw even a couple of those, it would give us hope.
The
If
problem
I
is,
make out my phone right now, I can show you several times where I have to go in and have that argument with people.
there's just so many different angles.
As a matter of fact, yesterday I was on Blink Stage having that argument with people.
We've had that argument.
You're going to have that argument all over Facebook. Everybody in the country is talking like that. Doesn't mean they're going to go out and do anything. But people are fed
Well,
up.
those guys
And
do
so we get along.
Absolutely.
A lot of these guys they don't show up because.
But I think that's where a lot of
There's
the
been
speakers.
0 complaints. I also want to make it very clear, I'm not with theirs. I know who I am and the crap I put out there, and I know. I walked right up to the edge of that line, and I tippy-toe on it. But before I post any of those videos that you see me being that extreme, I watch it 3 or 4 times to make sure I didn't cross that line. Did I threaten anybody? Did I overstep the boundary? And I don't. I'm very careful with my words. But so I'm an independent entity, and I know that I also, 11 years in the Marine Corps, I am trying to motivate a certain type of person that I want to stand on my shoulder to shoulder with me. And I know how to motivate that person to get off their ass and get up here and stand there and say, it's the type of person that I say Semper Fi to.
That's why you make a quick point, guys.
But also, I cannot come out and argue with you people, because who here is in Facebook jail?
Oh, yeah, I'm there.
I am put in, I'm back to back to back to back. 30 days in, I'm on my 4th month in a row. I get out of Facebook jail on 1 day. And I can come out and say, I love Islam. I'm very well known for my stance against Islam. I can come out and say, I love Islam. And they have found a way to, as long as enough of them report, no matter what it is I say, report it. 200 of them reporting it at once. Facebook will automatically put me in Facebook jail. I cannot post anything, I cannot I can't share, and now, I used to be able to private message, I can't even do that. So I get to see, now I don't even look at the computer, but these other guys that are not in Facebook jail are reading all the posts, and oh look at now they found out who John is, and I'm like, but I just can't come out and spell it or anything, and these guys will go to that when they have the time, but otherwise, it's mostly trying to push truth out, rather than pay attention to the disinformation there, because if we focus and talk about the disinformation, it brings that to look like there's a validity to it.
Y'all need to get off of Facebook, and y'all need to go stand up for the Hammond.
So before everyone wants to get out of here, okay. Here's my cards. I have nothing to hide on Facebook. My Facebook's locked down for other reasons. that I don't want you guys to see. But if anyone wants my card and wants to add me their picture to see what we have, we're linked up with all these guys. And then sometimes these videos go out, you get the motivation, like he said, it may seem extreme to you, but we're trying to motivate certain people. So we'll never call someone to shoot people or do things or kick in the teeth, whatever he said. His audience, that's me, what they need to get off the couch. Okay? So we monitor that.
We can clarify you and dumbass for over the week.
Anybody wants to talk?
This is the official rally tomorrow, okay? So, Hammond Buggy is sharing this rally. Blaine Cooper's sharing this rally. Joe's sharing this rally. John's sharing this rally. It's telling you straight up. It's a peaceful rally. We're not coming with our machine guns and our camo. We're not going to blow anything up. We're here to support your guys' community. To make it what you want it to be. This is your opportunity to have your voice heard so that this doesn't keep happening. So if you guys will show up tomorrow, the media's going to be out here. Tell them your story. Tell them the Hammond story.
We get 131,000 visits a month. 131,000. Is that it?
You're right there.
Just kind of, yeah.
Guys? Yeah. I'd like to start off by
Gotta just roll and edit.
Everybody else is here tonight. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having this dialogue. If we all sit behind the screens on Facebook, we're all going to be terrified. Let's not do that.
If you guys have any questions for us, any of us can ask us. And then the last thing I want to ask.
If everybody would pick up chairs, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That guy right there, Mike. It's independent news, so he's got a crazy, kind of doesn't think the whole news thing tells everything right, so they go out and kind of find themselves. Yeah. He's actually a big background on everything. How you doing? From all the way from Michigan. Michigan, all the way here? Yeah, he's not here a lot. He don't seem to come. Oh, probably don't see him.
They call me Mr. Daisy, I drive.
Oh, okay, Ron. I'm just an old lowly business manager.
Yeah, I'm social with
We're doing my best to still do my duties. Like property and both areas. That helps me together. I said about the
Oh, okay.
I have a very vested
I met I met him. He introduced me to Pete Santilli. You watch this show?
You wanted to have this as a monastery? Yeah, I have. If you want this as a monopod, or
I
just
just
set it up on there.
I'm
It's
the
good
guy.
to kind of do it like that. What I do with this, okay, you can go like this and just hold it, or just like that, and then that gives you a more of a fulcrum. I don't know. Just kind of pan around. Well, it's nice meeting you. I'm going to mill around, but thank you for driving so far. Well, your parents helped you. You would be anywhere else.
Right. We don't. I got this grandkids. They don't play this fight now. I don't watch what it's about. It's about everybody's children. I've seen the police there. They've already lived their own life. Right? Silverback. That's it. Silverback. I like that.
Yeah, that's right. They were called girls.
That's how they sell it.
Oh, they do.
What's that on my phone?
That's how we're going to get it.
I was going to.
Are you staying or going?
No, I'm going.
Oh, I know. I saw the first time in 1994. But all the soldiers and all the on air.
I'm willing to take it.
Here's the thing. Signature, 100,000. Okay, and I've done a lot of I watched these. Some of the next county over the
No, I got it.
I'm going to go in.
I don't know what to say. I think the people that are afraid to stand up, they can't.
Because I identified that there was a spirit through the universe. This guy, you know, I just feel vibrations. You right?
I have a spare.
If they do anything, that right there could be going right now to international Australia. There's no way. I can't.
I'm really close to
Wow.
Here's my 7-year-old.
And then he got
the last 20 miles is drifting across the highway.
Yeah, like it was when we were coming through this place. Yeah, I'm sure it's even 10 times worse.
We'll pass them around at the hotel.
Oh,
Their
you guys
attention
did.
seekers.
And I'm like,
Right? And I was trying somebody to
You know, one thing I will say though, it was kind of nice.
You're okay.
And they're bringing back evidence that should have been in the first story. And they're saying
everything. I didn't get to meet you, partner. Got in here a little bit late. I'm trying to get Jeff Wells.
Tim Motion.
Tim, nice to meet you. You put this thing together?
Well, my wife did.
What's your name? Randy, nice to meet you, Jeff. Pretty good. I don't listen to all the kind of situations. Well, I'm going to do my job.
Please say hello to my friend.
Because it's snowmobile trail, you get caught on $750 fine and you come out. No, it's not. You know, I was trying to sort of, I know where to put it, but they weren't down.
Oh yeah, you guys used to make beer. It's dead. Why is it big? Is it that they're worried about our well, that you can't. Your mill would go out and buy lumber in our cutting circle, and you would manage your forests, replant, and there was never a clear cut.
No, and these guys talk about who will fight the fires, the wildfires. When that mill was running strong, we had loggers, we had log truck drivers, we had skidder operators. There wasn't
wildfires.
There were guys. There was guys up there sawing logs.
You take your equipment, fire burn, everybody stop working and go out there. There's your fire department.
And there's your fire
And
department.
to me, to me, the Forest Service, BLM firefighters, they're getting paid. The longer that fire burns, the more money they're making. When you got a forest full of loggers and timbermen and stuff like that, the longer that fire burns, the less money they make and the more money that they lose. I mean, that's my take on it. I'm not a rancher.
I have a big bone to pick with the Forest Service taking away our natural resources because that's all we have. It's a renewable source. Right? We can responsibly take care of our own water. That's what this is all about. We don't tell this deal and these people get out of the states and let us manage our land. I'm not going to do that. Right. You got children.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, they deserve a future.
Absolutely they do.
I've watched too many men not make it back.
This sawmill right here was the largest undercover sawmill. That's a fact. Undercover meaning the sawmill planer.
No, that's a huge area of expanse.
And it's done. You can see the smokestack.
And where are your kids going to go when they grow up? Where are they? I mean, when they get older, are they going to stay here? Can they? What? That's a good question. Ignore the email address because
it was a nice speech, by the way.
I also encourage you. When I started this, the only problem with the news agency is you have to have massive dedication. My wife is at home right now working, and I'm not getting it. You know what we get paid?
Zero.
In fact, there's still a recent fire on my house. We've got dogs and puppies, and that we raise. We sell everything. And then got to that. It's guns and dogs. This is how we go into the because the government's not going to do it. Right. You know what? You watch this game. You people in this game, Because you stand out. You got I think you can real. He's saying I ain't saying. We gotta go. Say something about we gotta go pick our children up.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you.
All right, turn it on.
And so, yeah, I am for the hand.
Let's come back to this after we have some good discussion of what we're going to do with the community together.
Well, I'm just trying to make the community aware of what's really here.
We've all been on there. We've all, and
I'm not perfect by any means.
We pointed out this gentleman, who else? Jason Patrick and BJ Silver, or Joe? Which one?
Well, I've always
Okay,
seen
so let
you
me
guys.
ask you
I've never
this.
seen Mr. Soto.
Did you pull up my video on YouTube while you were looking at all these videos?
You pull mine?
No, because I'd never seen you or you
Okay,
until
let
right
me
now.
ask you this though. Why would we leave our comfortable home and our children
8 of
to
them, by the
come
way.
here, 8 of our children, we have 8, okay? Why would we come here and spend time here, and this is the 3rd time we've been here now, and sit down with the Hammonds and hear their story if we didn't care about them? Hold on, let me finish. Now I let you point these guys out, but I can tell you personally, I watched him stand up at Sugar Pine Mine for 2 miners, armed, willing to take a bullet in order to protect their constitutional rights. I've watched him stand up armed and do it. I've battle rattled down and stood armed too. And if I had to do it for you, even though you don't like these guys, I'd do it for you too.
Let me make something clear.
And
Hold on.
I would leave this world knowing that my children are in the hands of these men.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
But-
I don't necessarily disagree with
But
what
we don't
you guys
want-
are doing.
we're trying to move
it's
away
the
from-
manner in which you're doing it
Oh.
and the attitude in which you come
But
to
you
the
don't.
community.
But you don't know. You keep saying the blanket statement. You guys. You don't know me. My right to come here, and you may not. You may not agree with us, and you want a blanket statement on us as all this. Someone's come to take your land away. I would die on your front porch to protect your
And
property.
so would this guy and the
Is
dinner.
anyone else that's not associated with the quote outsiders militia, what you want to talk to them? How many of you guys have spoken to
But let me explain
Bill
something.
says he's got video of him asking them for help. Well, let's see it.
Hold on a second.
Cough it up.
Before.
They're already going to prison.
Hey, wait. It's not about them or stopping.
I'm told by Fox News over and over again that BLM is very, very dangerous. Both kinds of BLMs, but with different conclusions. What BLMs? Well, one is Black Lives Matter, and Bill O'Reilly tells me they're a hate group, and because of a chant that they did while they were joking around with the cops at the time, because of that chant, they're very, very, very dangerous. And then there's the Bureau of Land Management, and the Bundy and militia fight against that BLM. Now, I'm told by Sean Hannity, who had Cliven Bundy on his show many times and defended him, that the Bureau of Land Management is at fault, and Cliven Bundy and his boys, who have now taken over a federal building in Oregon, who point weapons at guns' heads, are not dangerous. Okay, I'm going to chalk that up to irony. So, but if it was just Fox News and just the right-wing nut jobs, you might say, okay, they're biased because those right-wing terrorists and they want to protect them because they're right-wingers. And right-wingers are generally more violent, so they like grabbing guns and trying to, sort things out with that kind of violence. But what about the general press? Well, they go along every time. If it's white folks, well, they're just protesters, right? Black folks, dangerous, dangerous. Muslims, oh, national headlines, right? So first of all, Associated Press puts out this tweet about this situation. Let's read it. Peaceful protest in Oregon, rancher arson case, followed by building takeover at National Wildlife Refuge. Oh, I see. We had a peaceful protest, and then a little takeover of a federal building. Nothing to look at here, just white folks. They won't do any damage. Let's just move along. I mean, they've threatened to kill cops before. They're threatening to kill cops now. But it was started as a peaceful protest. Can you imagine if they wrote about the San Bernardino shooters? A peaceful Christmas party attended by 2 wonderful Muslims turned into something else later when they shot everybody in the building. Yeah, I wouldn't talk about the peaceful part in the beginning because that's not the relevant part of the story. It makes it as if you're framing it like, I mean, they're just protesters. To which, then look, Fox News calls them armed protesters, not terrorists, not thugs. It's not like Fox News doesn't know how to use the word thugs. They use it all the time. But these guys with weapons that took over a federal building, not thugs, just armed protesters. I see. Black Lives Matter's protest cops shooting them in the head and killing them and murdering them and their kids, 12-year-old Tamir Rice, 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. Those people are murdered, and they say perfectly peacefully, no guns, no nothing, no weapons. They say, could the cops please stop murdering us? Thugs, hate group, how dare you? You're endangering cops. These guys say, I've got all my assault rifles. I walked in and stolen a federal building, and if cops walk in, I'm going to shoot them in the head and murder them. Armed protesters. That started out peaceful. Okay. New York Times is a liberal rag, I hear, from the right wing, so they're going to cover this case all over the paper, right? I mean, it's giant headlines. I mean, again, if 12 Muslim jihadis walked in with guns and took a federal building, I'm pretty sure it'd get a pretty large headline in New York Times. Have you found it yet? Yeah, lower left corner. Oh, by the way, white people take over a federal building with guns. Let's move along. Okay, not a big deal. Okay. Now, some people on Twitter pointed out the hypocrisy of this. So C.D. King writes in with this tweet, what's the difference between a terrorist cell and a militia? Religion is skin color, and he's got guys that look identical. One's called a terrorist, the other one's called a conservative. To be fair, the conservative, while having the same weapons, is holding an American flag. Roland Martin asks on Twitter, did I miss the call for the National Guard in Oregon? I recall them in Ferguson and Baltimore. Yeah, why were they in Ferguson and Baltimore? This was particularly poignant. It was comparing the Tamir Rice situation with what we've got here. And in this tweet by Carlos Latouf, we've got Tamir Rice with a toy gun labeled a thug, and then you've got a giant guy with a real gun who's white and has an NRA hat, and he is labeled a patriot. Well, I mean, that's what they say they are. They got a funny way of showing patriotism by taking over government buildings and committing, in essence, what is treason against the U.S. government, saying they're going to steal further U.S. land if it continues. So you'll excuse me if I don't call that patriotic. Okay, now there was another guy on Twitter, and I bring this up only because these wind up getting a lot of coverage and being retweeted thousands of times. And that's me. I asked, did the cops shoot the armed thugs who took over the federal property within 2 seconds? Oh, no, that's only for black children. I also said, let's be clear, if Muslims had seized the federal building, they'd all be dead by now. And then one more here. I want Fox News to answer this now. If a single one of those militia members points a gun at a cop, what should happen? Okay. Now, at the same time, real quick, let me show you what the New York Post and Fox News called Black Lives Matter. They called it, quote, a war on cops. No. This is a war on cops when you threaten to shoot them in the head. When you protest them shooting you in the head, that's not a war on cops. That's asking the cops to do a better job. Okay, and then we were told that a rise in crime was, quote, the Ferguson effect. Again, even the New York Times talked about this nonsense. There was no such thing. Vox explains throughout the year, criminologists also repeatedly cautioned that there's no evidence of a nationwide wave of violence. They've also said that there's no evidence that Black Lives Matter protests have anything to do with a potential rise in violence. So that was made up. There was no Ferguson effect. Now, CNN says, they bring in Art Roderick, a law enforcement analyst, to say about these guys who took over property with weapons, federal property. They're not destroying property. They're not looting anything. That's not Fox News, that's CNN saying it. What do you mean they're not looting anything? They took the whole fucking building. If those black protesters who didn't have weapons had taken over a whole federal building and said, if you come in here, we shoot you, I assure you that they would have been called far worse than thugs. But when it's a white militia who does it, we're having an interesting opinion about this. And there's nothing to see here. Everybody move on. They're not thugs looting anything. They're not destroying property. They just stole the whole fucking thing. They didn't destroy it. They just took it. Just like what they did with their Bundy Ranch, where they said, well, I'm not going to pay you taxes on it. I'm just going to steal it. I think that's, at a minimum, what I would call a thug.
A lot of people like that are angry at what's happening in their country. Yeah.
He wouldn't even meet with me. Padney's not around. Regarding, is there anything that we